Hello, everybody. Welcome to episode 374 of Spittin Chiclets, presented by Pink Whitney from our friends at New Amsterdam Vodka here in the Barstool Sports podcast family. What is up, gang? Got plenty to get to. Gold medal games. Sid hits a big milestone. Biz back on TNT after a Vegas detox, a Falcon punch, and a bunch more. But, of course, we got to check in with the fellas first. Producer Mikey Grinelli, what is up?
A lot. Big week ahead for the boys. Atlanta on Friday, Nashville for the Stadium Series on Saturday. So I'm excited to get back on the road and see you guys again.
Oh, yeah. I haven't been to Nashville since Stanley Cup, when we self-financed the Chiclets promotional tour back in the day. That was a good time. Did a lot for the show.
Early days, baby.
Still didn't get our dough back. Biz Nasty, what's going on with you, buddy?
Nothing very eventful other than work. A lot of work. Went to the Coyotes game on Saturday night. A bit of a meltdown in the third period. I tell you what, fucking LA, the surprise team in the Pacific Division. Drew Doughty, 2 tucks, just barking at everybody out there, looking like a goddamn Gritty himself. Aside from that, buddy, just chilling at home a little bit after that crazy couple weeks. And I guess it all goes back to my dog. Like, we adopted Lloyd, and he's like all I fucking think about all the time. Like, he's like my kid now. And then I got talking to Katie about how much joy he brings to my life. Little collab in words there. And she was joking around. She's like, well, fucking Whit just got a dog. Grinelli got a dog. You should force RA to get a dog. And we should do our own little like Westminster dog show.
Hey, I'm going to right now say something my dad told me long ago when I told him I was going to get a dog single in the NHL. He said, Ryan, that would be cruel and unusual punishment to the dog. So I feel the same. RA cannot be a dog owner, guys.
Yeah.
Right, RA, you know.
Yeah. No, I don't, especially a puppy. It's like a kid taken care of. Like I said, I can't pick up a hot steaming shit off a sidewalk with my plastic bag on my hand. That's the deal breaker for me. That's basically it.
What? Buddy, like, for the amount of joy that thing brings my life, I would legitimately eat his shit.
Yeah, I understand. I get the whole appeal. I don't know. I don't even know if the building I live in allows dogs. They might. I don't even know if I can have a pet right now. But
I think it's all like relative to like the match that you find. Like, maybe there's this like young dog that has like a fucking Playboy subscription, even though he's a puppy, and like he loves going to the pub, and he likes when you blow the weed smoke in his face. Like, there's got to be a match out there for a dog for RA. And now with all of us having dogs, if you get one, I think we could do. I think Portnoy did one of those Westminster dog shows with the other employees at some point in Barstool's history. No,
I'm not sure. We could do a side podcast, spitting biscuits.
He did. Biz. He did.
A doggy podcast.
Biz, let me ask you. So Lloyd, it seems like you're closer with Lloyd. Is that because Katie already had?
Oh, I love Finn. Like, I'll make sure.
Mr. Finn again.
Mr. Finn again. And he's the OG.
But it seems
so
that Lloyd has gotten more to your heart a little bit.
Yeah, like, I feel like Finn is like an adopted kid, where I'm still going to show Finn love. I'm still going to make sure he's fed. I'm going to, in like, especially around them, make sure I snap the love 50-50. But like, when Finn's in the other room, like, I'm on the floor with Lloyd giving him more belly rubs, and every time he gets a treat, I make sure he gives me a kiss, and like, I just fucking love my dog. Yeah,
you're like a stepdad to Finn.
With Yoshi, our new dog Yoshi.
Yeah.
So he has zero respect for me, and it's like. My wife's telling me, like, you got to, like, be an alpha around him. Like, I'm like, all right, well, she gets up, he follows her. I get up, he doesn't even come near me. And then I'm like, let's go. He won't do anything. So now I'm trying to give him treats to just basically buy his love. and it's just so far, I'm really coming off as a kid who's never had a dog. I've never had a dog. And our vibe right now off the bat is brutal. I love him to
Whit's
death.
dog owns like NFTs. It's got like the hottest Air Force Ones, Cartier bracelets, Birkin bag.
No, dude.
He's getting his nails painted. Like, he's just like a toy. It's like Will Smith's kid.
I'll buy that dog the nicest dog food you can just to try to spoil him. And in terms of the picking up the shit, I agree, RA. It stinks. Ugh. But our dog shit is rock hard. And apparently, if you continue to always feed them dog food and not human food, their shits will stay hard. I will say, being in the winter in Boston before we get down to Florida, it was much easier because, it's just rock hard. You don't even pick it up right away in your yard. You let it freeze in the snow. Down here, I think if you leave it outside, it gets too hot in the sun. But right now, they're rock hard, easy to pick up. But it sucks, dude. Then you got to, fold up the bag, and then it's just, I will give you that. It stinks.
So about, what was it, probably about 3 months ago, I thought that I'd earned the trust with Lloyd, and I'm like, you know what? I'm just going to go over to dinner to my buddy Donnie Superstein's place, Joey Superstein's father. And I talk about on the pod. He's the one who used to live with the Gretzky guys. And I'm like, you know what? I'm going to let him out of his cage. I'm going to let him and, Finn snuggle up. They seem like they were a little bit tired from their little escapade at the park. Well, I come home and fucking Lloyd had chewed up the corner on my Restoration Hardware couch. Fucking $10,000 couch.
Fuck with Biz's stuff.
But I'll tell you what, it's just like, that's when the love is real, where it's just like, it doesn't even bother me. It's still shredded on the corner of my couch. But the Restoration Hardware couches are like, I think it was like 8,500 USD. But I'll tell you what, I spend so much time on my couch. I don't have a television in my room. I refuse to have a television.
Neither do I.
Yeah.
I remember we talked. Leads to more love making with no TV in the bedroom.
Oh yeah, Whit dog, you going down? You going anti Jamie Benn with the tongue, boy?
Oh yeah, guys.
Make it Speaking of making it squirt, Jamie Benn was doing it on the bench, but he won't do so in the sheets the other night.
A water bottle bukkake going on there. We talked about the grind my gears, and it's like, I can't, if I sit and try to think of one, I can't, but it pops up, and one just popped up, talking about the dogs. I was walking home with my dad's last night. He lives right across the way, and fucking not one, two piles of dog shit. It looked like a Clydesdale dropped the deuce there. I'm like, people who have their dog shit and leave it on the fucking sidewalk, they should be fucking publicly executed. That's vile and disgusting to do that.
Whoa, I mean, geez. Save the execution for the Tinder swindler.
Or the Saudi Golf League.
Jesus Christ, I know.
We should probably start talking some hockey, but you mentioned TNT last week. We have a lot to cover going back. The women's gold medal game, of course, Jack Eichel's return. All right, I'll throw it back to you onto how you want to end it, but we haven't really even thrown it over to Whit yet, because I was talking about my dog Lloyd.
Yeah, Whit, you're still down in Florida, obviously. Yeah, a little vacay. Whit part of Florida? You don't have to say the exact location if you don't want, but roughly.
We're staying in Lauderdale, but the first week we came down, my wife's sister and her husband and their kids all came down. So we ended the week by coming back to Disney World.
Oh my God.
The happiest place on earth. This friggin' place stinks. Let me tell you, Disney World is a joke. The biggest money grab in the history of money grabs. It's unbelievable. They nickel and dime you for everything. But today's Sunday. We're recording a day earlier this week. Thank you so much to the boys. They helped me out because tomorrow I was able to get the Fast Pass. So the Fast Pass, you get somebody to come with you from the park, and they just take you to the front of every single line. So today, all of the families at the park dealing with the 95-minute wait to go on Splash Mountain. And tomorrow, Whitty comes in, and Whitty gets ushered around the whole park and walking on rides.
You get the cart?
So we get 10 people tomorrow. So my family, Wyatt's, Steve and Kayla have 3 kids, and then my wife and her sister's parents are coming, Dave and Missy. So it'll be a blast. 10 people today. Happy birthday to myself. 39 years old. Can't believe it. Thanks, all right. Feel like I'm 65. I'm not kidding. My body's in a bad place. But I played my first round of golf back since surgery on my birthday. And I came back. I shot 82. I hit it like trash. I hit 2 shanks in a row. 2 holes in a row. 9-iron. 8-iron directly right into the water. Still ended up with an 82, had 3 birdies, but I was back playing golf and my elbow feels great, so nothing was bringing me down. And it was my birthday. So I'm in a phenomenal mood. I had to go back to something last episode that I talked about, the rink in Pompano Beach, where Ryder had met Coach Janine, this awesome woman. She teaches figure skating, teaches hockey. So all of a sudden, Merles and Miggs, and for people who don't know, Miggs is one of our good friends. He helps out Merles with the EBR. They're making picks, and they're doing it together. Miggs is a big part of the team. They write me. They say, Whit, we worked at that rink when we were in college. They had no dough and some friggin' classic stories they wrote me. So they had no money after, I think, their freshman year at RPI, and they went down, and they stayed at, the guy who owned the rink's, apartment there. He had a little, condo for him. Basically, one guy slept on the couch, one guy slept on the floor. And so they were asked to paint the locker rooms. They painted the locker rooms for 5 days. It was the wrong color. They had to start again right when it ended and redo it. They ended every single day with a 96-ounce, what did he call it here? Bucket of Long Island iced tea, where they just got completely waffled. In the time there, they made $2,000. When Merle's got home, he owed his mom $2,500 because she'd been sending him money down. And I guess also the funniest part that they told me was that one day they were asked to dig up all the shrubs in front of the building. So digging was taking too long. So they tried to tie a rope to all the shrubs and then pull a truck and just pull them all out. Didn't work. Only dented the truck, and then you couldn't shut the back of it. So the rink on Pompano Beach has been crushed before by Miggs and Merles, but that gave me a laugh. And other than that, I'm ready to talk about hockey. Yeah, it's kind of the doldrums of the season. Going back to the Fast Pass, like what does that cost, and do you get carted around too? Or I'm not willing to say the cost of it. I'm really not, because it's embarrassing. But the guy at the golf course yesterday, Interlaken, unreal. I met this kid, Jackson and Tim, the Bag Boys, unreal guys. They work at the shop. And he told me, "You have that Fast Pass?" He said, "I've been living down here." Oh, no. So the kid picking the range at the course, he sees me. He goes, "Holy shit." Like he saw fucking Jesus Christ. He goes, "I was just picking the range, listening to Chiclets, and then I lift my head up, and one of the guys talking, sitting on my range, hitting balls." So I would shoot the shit with him. Nice kid. And then I said, "I got the Fast Pass." He said, a come to Jesus moment. "You have the Fast Pass?" He said, apparently in that Fast Pass, they walk you around, you say, "Hey, I want an ice cream," and boom, Mickey comes bombing out of the shrubs and hands you the ice cream. I think it's as VIP as you can get at Disney World. So I feel bad for the whole fam today dealing with the lines, but I'm coming in tomorrow, guns a-blazing. I'm going to try to go on 50 rides tomorrow. Who did you so obviously somebody put you in touch with somebody at Disney who got you this special Fast Pass. They ain't handing these things out. Are they even available to the general public online? Yeah, anyone can get them, but they sell out quick. And the first time I ever heard about him was when Keith Yandel came down here for the first time, and he had it, and he's like, "I can't imagine not having it." It's like, if you ever go, I'm telling you, you can't go without it. But in true fashion, sorry, Ari, there's 2.5 hour waits for the good ride. So people go to the park, they go on 2-3 rides in a whole day and be there for 12 hours. So Keith mentioned to get it. Now, the biggest thing is last year they weren't doing it because of COVID. So when we came last year, we brought Ryder. We wouldn't be back here if my nieces and nephews weren't already going, because Ryder doesn't need to go again. But we came back with them. So I said, "Oh, well, now we got to try it." Kind of like how Eichel wouldn't answer the question of what he's driving these days. I know. What was up with that? I don't know. I would imagine it's probably something very, very nice that he didn't want to say on television. Like, any Golden Knights fans see him cruising around, let us know what this guy's or it's the contrary. Maybe he's embarrassed. Maybe he's got like a dumper mobile, an Xfinity Q45 like I had my rookie year, when Rick Jackman told me I was the only guy in the league that would ever drive that. I would say GM 70 years old or above. I would say Max Talbot easily had one of the pumpkin, and it was orange like a pumpkin, and then he got those like chrome rims on it, and it was just. It was an absolute nightmare. I don't know. If you saw him driving around Wilkes-Barre in that car, Biz, and then somebody told you that kid's going to score 2 goals in a 2-1 Game 7 Stanley Cup final win, you'd say you're goddamn fucking crazy. A kid driving around a pumpkin is going to be in NHL history forever. So for all those out there in Vegas, let's know what Jack Eichel's driving around in.
Wait, I want to ask, what happens if a shitload of people buy the Fast Pass? Is there a line for all the Fast Pass people, or you know what I mean? Because if enough people buy it, does that form its own line for those folks? They don't. They only sell a certain amount of them. Okay. And I think you're guaranteed. I think the line will be no longer than 20 minutes or 15 minutes, something like that. I don't think because. I have to imagine there's going to be a separate entrance, because if there's some kids to Disney World and that guy's waited in line for 3 hours for the Avatar ride, and he sees me walking with my Avatar sunglasses on, and then I cut him, they would have an issue with some violence. So I'm hoping we have our own entrance.
My God. Am I ever fucking praying from Carl from Kansas fucking knocking Whit out on TMZ with those fucking Avatar glasses on.
I hand him my ice cream that Goofy just brought me from the bushes. Hey, finish this, Carl.
Oh my God. Okay, we can end on that note as far as the personal stuff. We got some hockey to talk about.
Do we?
Yeah, a little. Yeah,
I guess it all goes back to parenting, and that was part of the one of the discussions I wanted to bring up off the hop.
From last episode, Nathan Gerby, the reaction to the interview, Biz, I thought it was overwhelmingly positive. I know some guys come in and they're like stand-up comedians. Other guys are serious. I thought his interview was very candid, very interesting. And of course, it's the internet. So people are upset the fact that his parenting style that he grew up with was the way it was. And hey, good for Gerby for clapping back at this guy. Just, he's like, hey, that was I'll get it right here. Sad? Nope. I'm proud of my childhood. It wasn't shitty. I learned respect, hard work, and good attitude. It was my choice to play. And I was playing to be where I am now. Wouldn't trade a single day. I am forever grateful for my parents and my childhood. Another guy clapped back, saying fucking, you succeeded, other kids didn't. But then, of course, it's the internet. So someone dug up this guy's tweet. I'm not going to put his handle out there. He had a tweet from last year. Fuck me. I've learned a lot about my father today. None of it positive. Clay, you're not the person I looked up to. So it sounded like this guy had his own daddy issues. He was trying to throw on Gerby or something. But either way, the feedback on the interview was great. Whit or Biz, which one of you guys want to go first?
Don't be mad at me. Be mad at your dad. Okay, so that interview was awesome. And we went into that interview knowing, Gerby's history. And I didn't know in depth of kind of, how he was raised. And I will say, I understand people who are like, whoa, that sounds a little aggressive. But after hearing the interview, as opposed to just hearing the clip, burnt out kids from certain sports, been so overbearing with school and academics or playing an instrument, the list goes on and on for parents who expect too much of their kids. But when somebody goes through it, comes out of the other side so happy and appreciative for what his dad taught him in terms of hard work and what life's going to throw at you, I had to be impressed by him. And for people that don't know the kid or the situation personally and just heard a clip on the internet, to judge to say what you think's right or wrong, to me is foolish.
I just look at it like this, like look at his attitude towards it. And if anything, his parents were getting ahead of it, saying like, guys, life is extremely difficult. We all know that as you grow up, and, in the early days, it's a lot of sunshines and rainbows because, fortunate enough for me, I think that maybe I wasn't as exposed to how difficult it could be because, I had to with that. Did my parents maybe push me to a level of which Nathan Gerby's did? No, I will say, though, I was a psycho about hockey itself. So if I went and had a bad practice, I would usually punish myself by running when I at least got to a certain age. But just to hear that he had two loving parents who went through a shit ton of adversity themselves, like he mentioned that they went through bankruptcy, but yet they still provided all that time and attention to devoting their life to raising their kids to make sure they could handle those problems if they arise for themselves. So obviously he's a fine citizen and he's raising his own kids now too. So it was a breath of fresh air and such a different type of interview that we've had on Chiclets. And yeah, it was, I really appreciate his honesty and I'm rooting for the guy even more now.
And if his parents didn't do that, he wouldn't have an NHL career for 11 years. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's like, and he said, my child, like he emphasized mine, like that was my experience. So when other people criticize it, I could see why he would bristle at that stuff. So either way, great interview. If you somehow missed it, check it out. But do want to let you know the playoff stretch run is coming, as is the trade deadline. And, you might be sweating about what your team's going to do. So why don't you relax with some nice, smooth tasting Pink Whitney? Can be found in liquor stores everywhere and at your local bar where you can belly up and enjoy a nice Pink Whitney shot or perhaps a little Pink Whitney and soda. So go out and grab it. It's all over the place. All right, Biz, it was great to see you back on TNT. I know you had a hiatus. We were on the road and, like you said on the air, I needed a detox, which is fucking hilarious. Four nice matchups that night, plus the women's gold medal game we got. So the first one, Florida, Carolina. I think everybody's praying that we get this matchup in the playoffs at some point. Florida comes back, wins 3-2 in an OT. Great game. Unreal goal, that Barkov goal. I mean, this guy, I'm so glad that Florida was getting some national recognition because they deserve it between Barkov and Huberdeau. But Barkov goal first. Biz, let's go to you first.
Well, both those teams, right? I think this might be the only time that Florida is on TNT all year. It sucks because they are such an entertaining team. And we talk about the high-flying offense. This is a full-fledged fucking boys club, too. I believe it was Bennett who got pushed from behind. I didn't think the hit was overly aggressive by Svechnikov. I think that he, if anything, kind of let up, but he got him from behind and he went into the wall. The minute that happened, the Florida bench says, you brought this on yourself. And it was a fucking gong show, full-fledged hit fest. I think it was Marchment who caught Trocheck up the middle. Like, this was a throwback hockey game, but mixing that new school offense and the goal by Barkov. Holy shit. I'm going to give him a double wrister as soon as I'm done summarizing this game. But this is after I think a 14 or 15 day layoff too for Florida. So they came in, and I am so impressed with that team. Obviously Carolina too. It sucks that they ended up giving it up, but what more could you ask for from an entertainment perspective, regarding two teams down south growing the game in these new markets? Boner, full-fledged hockey boner for Biz on the broadcast game one.
The game was amazing. I was super impressed by Freddie Anderson, too. That guy just continues to look so good. What a change of pace for him in terms of coming from Toronto and hockey craziness and just probably being so relaxed, playing it behind a great team. And so I watched that game. And you talk about the hit that Marchment threw. Am I saying his name right, guys? Marchment?
Yeah, it's Marchment's kid.
Yeah,
the guy who was suspended, I believe, 12 or 13 times throughout his NHL career.
Yeah, he was a killer. But that kid is so good. He then went on to have a hat trick Friday night when they pounded Minnesota in Minnesota 6-2. The team is for real. I first thought that he was possibly an option as a little trade bait if they're looking to grab a defenseman, right? He's younger. I don't know if you could trade that guy from that team now. The toughness he brings, the size, he can score. That hit on Trocheck, and then Trocheck ends up getting the penalty because he plays with no helmet. It was a brutal bounce. You get run over, and then all of a sudden you're not even thinking.
I fucking hate that rule.
That rule sucks. I thought that was the coolest thing is you get to play with no bucket for a shift here and there.
Come on, Gary.
Lit up. I used to try to knock mine off on purpose, but I end up like hitting my nose, giving myself a bloody nose.
Is that what happened to your hairline?
Yeah, Jesus. It's not looking great. I will say that the Panthers right now are the beasts of the East. In their repertoire, they could play tough, they could play mean, they could score better than anyone besides Colorado. And the team with Barkov and that goal is just on another level right now. And you got the fact that you have Bobrovsky playing as well as he has, but also Knight, if something were to go wrong in the playoffs, that insurance is something else. So I love watching the team play. I didn't know TNT only had him once. That sucks.
I completely agree with not overthinking this. I think that the rumor was that they were going to try to go get another defenseman, especially with that. Buddy, why shake it up? They got some good guys on the back end. They got who's the other guy who kind of flies under the radar? I'm drawing Forsling, and I think they got him on a pretty fair contract. And the reason I say that, Whit, is you just mentioned Marchment and then that Lundell.
Oh, what a player.
He's all of a sudden entered in the top 5 of the rookie race, right? Is he gonna be in the top 3? Probably not, because he's in this market that nobody fucking knows about all of a sudden. You got Huberdeau, who nobody's been given respect to, or at least on the national recognition until really this year, because he's putting an MVP type season. I mean, I might be the only guy who had Barkov listed as the most underrated guy for 8 straight years, because I'm I'm a bit of a Barkov fanboy.
Of a dummy.
But I mean, these are just other guys that you don't hear about. I mean, and I even like what that Lomberg kid brings on the 4th line. He is just a fucking shit disturber Tasmanian devil. So I don't think you overthink it. I think you stick exactly with what you got and you roll with it. Why? If it ain't broke, don't fix it. And we haven't even covered Reinhart and Bennett, who they can put the puck in the net, and they got a little bit of toughness too. So it's a perfect team right now.
I think Jacob Chikrin would be a very, very nice.
I know, but
Panthers.
But then what are you going to give up? I know that the Coyotes are asking for the world. You're not going to. I think you're a bozo if you give up that Lundell. I think
no way.
They're not doing it. He's not going anywhere. He's not going anywhere. Yeah, so I wouldn't fuck with that. But do you want to move on to game 2 now, RA?
Yeah, real quick. I just want to mention what I liked about after the Trocheck hit. Nobody tried to fight. Like, it was nice to see a good, clean, hard hit, and then nobody have to quote unquote answer for it.
No, they just try to kill each other with other body checks.
Yeah, that's all. Also, got to give a shout out to Lucas Carlson, one of the best saves of the year. Not even Bobrovsky. Awesome stuff. And 2, I love Biz. I tweeted the NHL on TNT handle saying we need the audio of D'Angelo and Gudis when they were going back and forth, leaning over the bench, barking at each other. Two characters, man. I would pay a fucking $100 to hear the audio, what they were saying to each other. Just a pretty funny clip. But
I mean, Jen Botterill, who was between the benches, kind of backed off.
You look mortified.
Yeah, she was mortified. And I think she said that there was facial hair, contracts, politics, you name it, it was mentioned. Playing time, the whole laundry list of insults that could have gone back and forth in that period of time. But hey, listen, I think D'Angelo's got a bit of toughness to him, but I don't think he could beat up Gudis.
No, what a sign for Carolina too. I know they lost Dougie Hamilton, but no disrespect to Dougie, they haven't missed a beat. They brought Tony in. He's been outstanding this year. And, give him a shout out too for what he's been doing for the Carolina Hurricanes this year. The second game of the doubleheader, Colorado at Vegas, two Titans out west. Jack Eichel's debut. He didn't get any points. He was engaged out there, but it's, you want to criticize a guy who hasn't played in over a year. Plays with a chip on his shoulder. I don't think he meant to do what he did. I don't know if he was trying to brush him off, but it sucked to see because we know Nolan's had concussion issues and he hit his head off the initial hit and then it looked like he hit his head on the ice too. You just hate to see that with a guy with those issues.
So just like there was a small minority of, fans who are bitching about, Tuukka and how he's not the greatest. And we're going to get to that later. We got Folz coming on to debate and back himself up that Tim Thomas is the GOAT. Now you're starting to get a little bit of a whiny portion of the fan base in Colorado when Nate ended up taking that hit from Hall, blah, 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 blah. And it's just like, it was a hockey play. It was his own stick. Shut the fuck up. I'm going to now defend Nate in this situation and say they're going up the ice. I think that he just wanted to initiate a little contact there. Did he come up a little high? But guys, it looked like a pretty fucking innocent bump if you watch that thing in real time. And it is a really shitty result. And Patrick has a history, and I know some people are not happy with it, but I'm going to chalk that up as a hockey play. Like they're kind of battling for position in the middle ice. That little quick bump nudge kind of gives you that extra step, and maybe a 2-minute interference, but just a terrible result. So all those bitchy, whiny fans who were complaining about how fucking Hall should have been shot in a space. God, that was the dirtiest thing I ever saw in my life. No, it wasn't, Whit.
No, not at all. I just thought about Patrick, and that's just horrible news, right? To see that go down and to know what he's been through. And the problem with concussions, everyone knows, you get one, it seems like you're able to get another one a little easier. And as time goes on, and yeah, he caught him in the jaw, but while also saying, I don't think he meant to do it. I don't think it was that much at all. I think it would have hurt any player, but Patrick's had so many issues that now you start to wonder if he's ever going to be able to, play hockey in a sense of not getting another one, right? Like I'm not really wording myself correctly here, but at some point, like when they're happening so frequently that it's just nothing plays that are making it all go down, that's when you start really worrying. So I thought about that kid and what he's been through, and hopefully he's just able to get healthy. I think it was one of those things where you're looking to shove a guy to get that step, to go back, get the puck, help your defenseman out, and it was just an awful, awful ending to that. So hitting his head on the way down was also scarier than probably the one he talked.
And I hope with
Nate.
I hope with what I said didn't take away from obviously how I feel, and I hope that this guy heals up and he comes back to playing hockey. I guess the point I'm making is like those types of things are kind of happening throughout the game, every game, and
yes,
those are going to continue to happen, and you can't just kind of put a microscope over every little thing like that. It's just like that's the contact sport. That's hockey.
Yeah, I mean, I think the super slow-mo experts don't help either. When you watch it, like 1/10 speed, it looks bad. But like you said, because in real time, it's these guys are flying. There's sometimes not any intention to hurt a guy, and I think that's what happened there. So, we wish the best to Nolan Patrick, man. Like I said, he's had these issues. We hate to see guys get hurt like that. So we're pulling for him to get back out there. Another Vegas news, Vegas GM Kelly McCrimmon, he shot down pretty vociferously any thoughts of a Marc-Andre Fleury return to Vegas. His quote, "There's absolutely no credence to that rumor at all. I wouldn't normally speak on such things, but there will be so much racket about this. It's important to let people know that's not going to happen." I thought that was a good move by him, just to nip it in the bud, because GMs don't usually, address rumors of this nature. But I think it was probably a good move by him because it'll just keep going for the next month and maybe be a distraction for everybody.
One that like we probably started. Okay, now that's cock blocked, he better be going to Pittsburgh. If I don't get Giordano back to the Flames or Fleury back to Pittsburgh, I'm quitting the podcast.
But why would Pittsburgh trade for him with Jarry playing the way he is? Like, what would be the motive?
I don't fucking care. Just get it done.
All right.
For entertainment purposes, for the last dance, for the goosebumps on my arm, thinking about Sid, Gino, Latanger, the Power Rangers assembly.
Can they even take that contract? I don't even know. If
I'm not a capologist. I don't care.
Well, then stop saying dumb shit.
You just need first grade math.
We need him in Edmonton. Although we've won 5 in a row. We've won 5 in a row, and we got a game tonight. This is Sunday to go for 6 against Minnesota. So
have you been watching?
I've seen probably half of each game if you want to average out the 5
What would you
games.
say the biggest difference right now
Goaltending.
is?
Goaltending. They're getting goaltending. And I think that, like, McDavid's obviously gotten real hot. Everyone knew that would happen. Like, he had 3 points on Saturday night. He's really picking up his play. Draisaitl is continuing to do his thing. I think the offense is there. Kane's been a great addition, 7 points in 9 games, and the goaltending. So we've said it all year long. They couldn't get any saves, and then their scoring dried up a little bit. But Woodcroft's the first Edmonton Oilers coach in the history of the organization to win his first 5 games. So I know the Flames have 9 in a row. That's kind of a kick in the dick for my little Oilers self-party here. But us Northern Albertans, we're fired up, and we're looking towards, I think, more of a, 10-1-3 in the last 14 or something? Like, this isn't just the 5 games. This is a run.
Woodcroft for Jack Adams for your other ear?
Exactly.
He was actually the first coach.
Berube did it, and he had a worse record.
Wait, what? Berube won Coach of the year they won the Cup?
Oh, didn't he? Am I mistaken? Or maybe it was Cassidy, actually. Yeah. I think Cassidy beat him out.
It would have made sense with the last to the Cup in January.
Yeah, Cassidy won. That's correct, Biz.
Dash one.
Good call, Biz.
Yeah.
Biz, you mentioned we're going to have Fairway Folz on a little later to talk about Rask. We also have Detroit Red Wings Sam Gagner. We had a nice chat with him a while back. We'll get to that in a little bit.
I think we got to go back to Eichel's return, though, just quickly, because considering we were talking about the Vegas. Whit, I thought in the first period he looked really good. He had speed bursts. He looked like he had his lungs and his jump. Late in shifts, he was hauling it on the back check. But yeah, it's gonna take some reps. He ended up getting an assist the next game when they ended up playing against LA. But a little bit of a letdown from a game standpoint, but very, very impressed with. I mean, Colorado, they can just beat you anyway they can get you. So it'll be interesting.
Well, Biz, the main event Wednesday night, of course, the gold medal game, the Canadian woman versus the American woman. Canada jumped out to a 3-0 lead. They hung on for a 3-2 win to clinch the gold. There have been 7 gold medals since the women started playing. This is Canada's 5th. I was shocked when I looked at the stats. The U.S. outshot them 40-21, but Canada dominated this game. They just were all over the Americans. They took advantage of their scoring opportunities. We got to give a shout out to Sarah Nurse. She set the record for most points in a tournament, 18 points past the legend Haley Wickenheiser's 17. Shout out to Sarah Nurse. And then Marie-Philippe Poulin. She has scored in every gold medal game she's played in at the Olympics, 2010, 2014, 2018, 2022. She's the first and only player, male or female, to score in 4 Olympic gold medal games, which is just an outrageous stat. But Biz, you're the Canadian. Congrats on the gold. Let's go to you.
We now refer to her as MPP. And she should be a household name. And I believe she scored 7 of the last 10 goals for Team Canada in those gold medal games. She's going to go down as the GOAT. I would say her and Wickenheiser, like you could put them neck and neck for GOAT status. So much so that once the tournament was finished, she got an ECHL offer. That was, we're doing this ECHL player, we did the ECHL Player Relief Fund. We're doing this video series called the Dungle Series. Guys, the ECHL is no joke. And I fucking love that. And apparently she's turned it down. Now I'm hearing she's getting offers or talks from the Montreal Canadiens to maybe join them in some regard. And we'll get to that in a little bit. But what these girls went over there and did, Jeff Merrick, who follows the women's game way more closely than us, he went out on a limb and said that this was the greatest Team Canada team ever assembled for the women's. So shout out to these women. Shout out to Sarah Nurse, who was, I believe, the first Black woman to ever play in the Women's Olympics. And then she goes on to set what'd you say? It was the point record, right?
Yeah, point record for the tournament. She beat, Haley Wickenheiser. That's a legendary name in women's hockey.
Shit.
There you go. So congratulations to the girls. They lived up to every bit of the hype. And I would imagine that they've been getting absolutely in1.com over in Beijing for the last 4 days. So as far as presence on the pod for the Olympics, we reached out to Natalie Spooner. We're hopefully going to get her on for next podcast. That's the goal. We're hoping to also get Yipper. And I've also sent a DM out to Leo Komarov. So to
Uncle Leo.
It'd be cool to do an Olympics pod next pod. So we got lines in the water, folks. We're going to see if you can bring you the noise in the next week here.
Congrats
ratings
also to the American women on a good run, missing their best player. They go out, they go down 3-0, and they claw their way back to at least give themselves a chance to tie it. But Canada was too good. Congrats to them. 5 out of the last 7, like you guys mentioned. So congrats, Canada. We still have World Juniors, but you guys have the women's gold again.
And the ratings come in. The game averaged 3.54 million viewers on NBC, which is higher than any NHL game this season and the second most watched game in the United States in the last 3 years. Only game high was Tampa's clinch in 2021. And yeah, because Jeff Marek, he said that Montreal approached Poland to see if she'd be interested in joining the ECHL team, but she opted to stay in the women's game and invited them to help her promote the women's game, which is a pretty good move. It's like, all right, you want me to play? Then, help us out. So
I'm pretty sure she would only join the ECHL when I purchase a team and own one. Well, I'll talk to her on the side about that. We'll have to get Poulin in the mix.
Keeping with the Olympics, the U.S. men, they got knocked out by Slovakia. I mean, Slovakia, one of the great stories of this Olympics. They lost in a shootout. Slovakia tied the game very late with the pulled goalie. And the U.S., I mean, they basically gagged. They had a 5-on-3. I don't think they got one shot. Their power play killed them. And, Slovakia just hung around, and they ended up knocking them out. This kid on Slovakia, 17-year-old, I was probably going to butcher the name, Juraj Slavkovsky. He was named the MVP. This kid's 17, 6'4", 218. His 7 goals led the Olympics. Bobby Mack has him 5th in the draft ratings this year. And this was the first year since 2006, Biz, that the United States and Canada did not get a medal. Of course, the Finns got the gold. They beat the Russians 2-1 for their first ever Olympic gold medal. So shout out to Finland, man. You guys are great. You've always been producing awesome hockey players. It was great to see. They came back. They were down 1-0. They ended up getting a 2-1 lead, hung on to the end. This guy, longtime team leader, Marco Antilla, he's been their captain internationally. He was actually in quarantine for the first 6 days. He tested positive for COVID. He couldn't get practices in. He missed the first game. So he was able to play for the next few games. He's like a legendary Finnish player. And a couple of NHL guys won gold. Val Filppula, you just mentioned Uncle Leo, Sami Vatanen, Mikko Lehtinen. And what was curious, I don't know if you guys watched the game. Russia they're down a goal. They didn't pull their goalie until 49 seconds left. I mean, coaches usually do it 2 minutes left. They didn't do it till 49 seconds. I don't know what they were thinking, but either way, congrats to the Finns. And also, we got to shout out the Slovakian team. General manager Miroslav Shatan, Coach Greg Ramsey, a couple of Buffalo Sabres back in the day. They won bronze after they beat the Swedes. This is a huge Olympics for them. I don't think a lot of people gave them a chance. And I don't know if you guys saw the clip that Shatan posted. And kudos to him, man. He runs the organization, runs the team, and he's posting all the stuff on social media. But the kids at the practice in the early morning, they all watching on a little phone. And the Slovaks won. And they went wild. They were diving on the ice. And, obviously we're American. We're pulling for them. But a clip like that, just awesome to watch. You just, it's corny to say that's what the Olympics are all about, but it really was awesome to see, Biz.
Along with some fun clips of the celebrations in the finish room as well. Now, I don't think either of you mentioned the fact that, and this could have been a rumor on Twitter, didn't the American, the women's goalie, didn't she tear her ACL a few weeks before even the Olympics started? And then they ended up throwing her in for the entire games. And oh man, that is tough as balls to fucking play with.
How is that even possible?
Yeah, that's probably a bad term to use. Say tough as balls. What should I say here?
Tough as
nails. Tough as nails. To play with that, but it seemed like a couple times in the final game, it might have prevented her from making a save.
Yeah, goalie Alex Cavallini, she did tore her MCL back in January, and she got it out, man. I understand what you're saying, though. The second goal was kind of a tough one, but playing with a torn MCL, I mean, how hard is that?
MCL, not ACL.
I think it shows a lot of courage. The ACL, that's why I said, how is that possible? Because I don't know if it would be. But MCL, still, she had to be in a lot of pain. Hopefully they were helping her out with that. Back to the kid from Slovakia. You can watch all of his goals on YouTube. They have all 7 goals. Whoa. And you can see a giant. He's already enormous. Like, I'm not just talking height, wide. He looks heavy. Looks like almost, I haven't seen this kid play besides a few Olympic games, but the size and speed, it looks like he could be in the NHL pretty soon. And he's got a crazy release. So some of the goals, and he wasn't scoring all the goals against maybe lesser competition. He had 2 against Finland. He had 1 against Sweden, 2 against the U.S. One of them was the empty net, I believe. Or no, maybe 2 in the bronze medal game. But he did score against the U.S., and that's a guy who I think maybe moves up in the draft. If you had him at 5, all of a sudden he could be 3, because there wasn't NHLers in the tournament, but there were some unreal hockey players that represented their country still. And congrats to Finland. I saw Teemu Selanne tweeted or put it on Instagram, and that's amazing. That country, how small it is and the amount of NHLers they produce. Same thing with Sweden and the amount of goalies Finland can produce. It's wild to see the development and the hockey programs that those nations have kind of built up and made this much of a powerhouse with 8-9 million people in their country.
What did you think of the shootout? The U.S., they didn't go to Matty Beniers at all. David Quinn had 5 opportunities to use him. The kid was outstanding in overtime. They did not use him in a shootout. He's got some criticism for it. He said, they thought about it and didn't go with it. I don't know. Thought it was a bad call. Just
what he wanted when he got fucking pigeon tossed out of New York is to go to the Olympics, and now he's getting more fucking criticism.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's hard. A breakaway competition isn't necessarily always great for some of the best players. I mean, there's guys that are unreal scorers in the NHL that aren't great in shootouts. I think Ovechkin's brutal at him, isn't he? I think Beniers is too good of a DJ. Did you see that? Apparently, he's got the greatest pregame hockey DJ set that David Quinn's ever heard. Yeah. So I think that maybe that was too much in his mind. He's like, this kid's too good of a DJ. I can't have him out there.
People are acting like it's fucking Crawford not picking Gretzky. It's like fucking pump the brakes, dude. Just give the guy the aux cord and shut up.
Yeah, he said, it's the best playlist I've heard in hockey. I told Matty, you're a hell of a player, but you're a better DJ. I guess there's a lot of old shit on there that young kids bonded with the older guys in the team. So unfortunately, they didn't get any medals.
Maybe he thought he was too much of an ass kisser for throwing on all David Quinn's playlist, so he went the other way with it, and that's why I didn't pick him for the shootout. How's that for a mind torpedo, RA?
Oof, I'm swirling over here, Biz.
That's a fire take.
One more international note before we move along to the NHL. The World Juniors, it's going to be played in Alberta in the middle of August, which is great news to everybody who loves that tournament like us. The same age category as December tournament. It's going to be a fresh start. All the previous results are wiped out. Let's see. All the women's under 18 worlds, they're going to be played in June somewhere in the north of the USA. So, it's good. We're going to get the juniors. Everybody missed it this year. So, nice note there. Any other final Olympic notes, Biz, or what you want to add before you chug along?
No, maybe the most, I don't even know, just worst Olympics I've ever seen. I had no interest anything other than the hockey.
What happened with the Russian girl doping? So was she doping?
That was a crazy story. I think there was 3 of them, and I saw this woman crying on the broad. I don't know if she was German. Katarina Whit, is that her name? Ring a bell?
Yeah. German figure skater back in the day.
There was a Twitter clip of her crying uncontrollably in talking about how awful it is what they did to the 15-year-old Russian girl. I was confused because she did test positive, then she was allowed to skate. I guess her coach was yelling at her. I mean, that was obviously some drama I really missed. But overall, I like watching the Olympics. But this year, something about it, it's just I had no interest.
So, in defending her, so obviously, I mean, anytime a 15-year-old's on dope, you can't really blame the 15-year-old, right? It's not like she fucking was like, hey, where can I get
reading his Playboy on dope.
Gotta clarify what dope is here. I think people hear dope.
You guys get what I'm saying. It's obviously
someone put the needle in her butt. Legit.
Yeah, so it's just
it was her grandfather's medication, and that's the IOC bought that excuse. That's why they let her skate. Of course, the IOC in Russia.
Oh no shit! Really? I thought
you got
doping.
Our buddy Jerry Thornton, one of the oldest bloggers at Barstool, I should say longest tenured guys. He legit covers figure skating. His wife loves it. Got him into it years ago. No, he doesn't write him ironically. He really covers it. And yeah, she was allowed to come back in. She blamed it on her grandfather's medication. They let her back in. Of course, she ended up 4th. But Russia and the IOC, man, they're in bed together. These guys cheat every year. They've committed all these violations, and they're still allowed to compete.
Yeah. So what is the Russian Olympic Committee? RA? What
because
it's like the guy's getting
Russia?
the guy's getting like a couple weeks here at Putin's like lake house, and then he can go to the ski village in Russia and stay at his $50 billion mansion, paid with by taxpayers' money there. That must be the tummy stick action that's going on then.
They're in cahoots. There's no doubt about it. I mean, Russia's, if you saw the documentary Icarus on Netflix years ago, there was systemic cheating everywhere. And Whit, go back to your question. The punishment or the sanctions where they can't compete with the Russian like uniforms on. They can call themselves another name. And it's like, how's that even a sanction? They're still allowed to play. And I'm glad they can, but because they didn't do anything. But yeah, Russia, is as corrupt as anything. And the IOC is as corrupt as anything. You put them together and this is what happens. So
they got to make more fire merch and profit off of. That was their punishment.
Yeah.
They get the different jersey.
And then when next time they have an exhibition, Putin scores 17 goals because the fucking goalie opens up his legs every time.
So then the girl who was getting tested positive. They let her skate, and then she didn't do so well, and obviously it was just a shit show.
Yeah, and like the Olympics, they really were under the radar, man. Even like on social media, you can get a vibe of like what everyone's watching or into, and it just, I don't know, it just didn't have that same bump it usually gets. So
my wild card sport from the Olympics that I enjoy the most is the cross country skiing when they got the gun on their back and then they got to go on the ground and they got to shoot the targets.
Biathlon.
Oh, is that what it's called?
Yeah. That's a weird sport.
My brother and I were kind of dogging the Olympics, and he said, well, there was one event he watched that was like unreal. Apparently it was a relay snowboarding race where I guess they're like, relaying down the mountain and doing crazy jumps and stuff. I don't even know what it's called, but that was one I probably would have enjoyed.
We got to talk about this, the fact that they might be handing out 4 hockey medals at the Olympics. Now they might introduce, I think that this is fucking genius, 3-on-3 hockey, smaller rinks. Introduce 3-on-3 hockey, no fucking brainer. You just talked about them doing a snowboarding relay race. Throw in another fucking hockey sport, dude.
So what players like? How, is it a different pool of players? Almost?
That's what makes it amazing. It's like, who the fuck knows? Maybe there's these 3 guys who play 3-on-3 hockey, like these ball hockey guys who could beat the pros.
They get street hockey, get a gold medal for the nose face killer.
Street hockey should have Olympic. That should be in the Olympics.
It would be an unreal sport for the Olympics. I mean, like
Madden can coach the team.
But do you agree that 3-on-3 has to be in the Olympics for ice hockey?
Would you put it in the Winter or Summer Olympics? Because there's been talks about both.
No, you got to keep the 3-on-3 in the winter. And then I think you could do both ball hockeys. You could do 5-on-5 and then do deck hockey 3-on-3. People are probably at home being like, ball hockey. The Olympics is just turning to where the attention's going to. Like, I think they talked about taking like wrestling out of it, where it's like, well, that's one of the most traditional Olympic sports, but maybe not enough people. Hey, I might be dead wrong on what events they're taking out of the Olympics, but they're taking out traditional Olympic sports where if you're a traditionalist, you're probably going nuts. Well, if you're going to take those out, put in sports that are as wacky as you think, but if people are watching them, do them.
Bubble hockey, me and Biz for the gold medal. One nut and shout out. I play a defensive style.
That would, fuck.
Someone wiping the sweat off your forehead the whole time.
I mean, guys, they're playing ping pong. Ping pong's kind of silly.
They got handball in there. I think you can put ball hockey in there. Badminton, come on.
Yeah. Handball's legit.
Well, what did you say? Badminton?
Badminton. It's like ping pong in the air.
You know what badminton is, Biz?
I think it's called badminton.
Badminton is nothing like ping pong, I wouldn't say.
No, I think it's called badminton.
That's how you would say it if you said it like phonetically the way it's spelled, but it's badminton. Now I can't say it.
How do you think what is Biz's?
Badminton.
Badminton. No, yeah, you got me saying it wrong. Badminton.
Either way, Biz, do you know what the thing that they hit back and forth is called in badminton?
A birdie.
Shuttlecock.
Boom. The Whit dog with the fucking big answer.
It's called a
shuttlecock.
Legit called a shuttlecock.
Oh, I thought it was called a birdie.
It's bigger than my cock.
Anyway. I thought it was too, Biz.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was just, so it's badminton?
Badminton, and it's a shuttlecock.
All right.
All right.
We can move on.
Yeah, we can. So shout out to, once again, the Finns on the gold medal, the Canadian women on the gold medal, and the Slovaks for a very impressive showing at the Olympics. They deserve a shout out for what they did this year. So, and also to Denmark, got to throw them in there. Their first time in the Olympics, they had a very impressive performance. So love to see the international teams getting much better out there. Another team that played Wednesday, they weren't on TNT, the Calgary Flames. They spanked the scuffling Ducks that night. Calgary on an absolute tear. They continue to rip the league up. They've won 9 straight. It's the third longest streak in franchise history. They just passed Vegas. They're first in the Pacific with 64 points, 4 more points than Vegas with 2 games in hand. During the streak, they've outscored the opposition 39-14. Penalty killing is at a 95.5 clip. Save percentage 941. They scored at least 4 goals in 7 straight games before Saturday night. And, of course, they added Tyler Toffoli. He scored in his debut off a sick Johnny Ham and cheese pass. Then Lindholm, that goal, he self-passed off the boards. This team's just firing on all cylinders right now. Biz, you're the Flames guy.
Listen, I don't want to spend too much time on them because, my wrists are sore because I've been stroking these guys off pretty much every podcast for the last 2 months. I'll just use this quick time to compliment 2 guys. Lindholm, in what he's done since he's been with the Flames. I don't know if I said a couple podcasts ago where I wasn't maybe concerned with them having a number 1 center. If I said that, I think I got a couple tweets. He is a number 1 center. He is the guy right now. And then the other guy I want to focus on is Tree Living again, where he got put in a difficult situation with that Adam Fox not wanting to come there and wanting to play in New York. He did not botch that. He fucking figured out a way to get a pretty much, I would say, a close to equal return, because they got Hannafin as well too, who's been playing great for them as well. So the moves he's made, and if you're a Calgary Flames fan, has he assembled some teams where maybe that haven't gotten the job done? But he has taken the proactive approach in every situation by addressing the areas that needed to be addressed, and even furthermore by getting ahead of things with that Toffoli move. So all the praise goes to Brad Tree Living. And I'm not just calling him a genius because he's also the one guy who gave me 2 one-way contracts and helped negotiate those. That has no bearing on this decision of me deciding to stroke him off in this pod. So all you Calgary Flames fans and you guys who are going to be on the Red Mile marching down to the Saddle Dome when they're fucking beating the wheels off Whit's Oilers, maybe a little social media love for Tree Living, because he made it taking a few lashings throughout his tenure there. Not 10 years, tenure.
It's been pretty impressive what Carolina has been able to accomplish. I know we're talking about Calgary, but they traded away Elias Lindholm. They traded away Noah Hannafin. They got Dougie Hamilton and Michael Furlan. Neither one of them are there. And then they got Fox in that deal. I don't know if at the time they thought they could maybe convince Fox to sign with them, and Calgary already knew it wouldn't work. But Carolina loses 2 legit players because Hannafin's had a hell of a season. He's playing on that top pairing there. And Carolina lost 2 sick players. They're still buzzing along. But Lindholm has been so good for the Flames. I just keep going back to Mark Sturm. You look at how he's played, and I said it before. They could win the Stanley Cup if things go right and Mark Sturm stays like this. I don't want to think about it happening, but I'm done pumping their tires. Same way I'm done talking about the Leafs till the playoffs. I'm done talking about.
No, we don't have to talk about them as a team. We just need to talk about Morgan Riley going full Bobby Orr, and then Bunting. You might be getting your fucking dick pierced because this guy's not stopping. And now, even in games where he's not producing any type of offense, he's mixing it up out there, getting into it with Krug. So I don't
you
think
give me. I give you. You give me $500 if he doesn't win Rookie of the Year, and I'll give you $5,000 if he does.
Wow, that's thousands.
I would say, given the age situation, I would give you 200, and for $4,000 coming back.
Deal.
Done. I'll sign that one.
I think that's
do you think that's good odds? All right.
I mean, I would have taken the first deal he offered. You just talk yourself out of some potential dough, but I mean,
he said you were going to give me $5,000 back for 400, right?
I said $5. You'd give me 500. I'd give you $5,000. So you basically minus 1,000 you could win. but also minus 300 you could lose.
Yeah, that's better odds, RA.
I thought Whit said $5. Just he was so confident in what he was saying. So that's on me.
I want to.
I just got $200 that I can spend at Disney tomorrow on a Mickey ear
on a half a cup of Dippin' Dots.
On XXXL Mickey is.
Yeah.
One other note, too. Saturday's game was the return of Mark Giordano. The crowd gave their former captain thunderous applause. Good to see. Always see when the fans appreciate. He was a huge part of that team for so long. And, he's in Seattle now, and there's speculation he might get traded from there. So what do you got, Ed?
Well, we can't just brush past the Leafs because we have to talk about the genius move by Dubas, too. So are we going to get to that later?
No, yeah. I was going to bring on Gagner shortly, but, yeah, we'll jump into the Leafs. First, we do want to mention they traded Nick Ritchie and a conditional pick to Biz's Yotes for forward Ryan Dzingel and defenseman Ilya, how you say it, Biz?
Labushkin. The Russian bear.
The Yotes will get either Toronto's third pick in 23 or second in 2025. Also, we got to talk about Austin Matthews, man. Spittin Chiclets, dude. Tough visual for the kid. He looked like he just kind of.
I think that fucking net should be never seen in an NHL rink again. I think they need to throw it off the fucking the QEW right into what's the lake there in Ontario? Is it Lake Ontario?
What's the lake in Ontario? Is it
Lake Ontario? There's a lot there. There's Lake Erie. There's Lake this. There's a lot of lakes, buddy.
Did you see the clip of Mitch Marner punching the net the next day? Like he went over to the net, was pretending he was beaten up because it knocked out Matthews' team.
Yeah.
I took from that clip, that you can be the biggest stud in the world, one of the top 3 or 5 best at what you do on the planet. You could be a media darling. You could be everything Austin Matthews is and still produce one of the all-time bloopers I've ever seen. He skated directly into the crossbar.
No. It got in his way.
I don't even understand. It's not funny because his jib's been fine. That sucks. All the dental work that's coming with it, I know how he feels.
You don't think Bieber's got a fucking
a player that good skating face first to the crossbar was one of the most shocking developments.
The net moved, Whit. You fucking idiot. The net moved on him.
Guys, he actually had a hilarious soundbite from his media session today, so I'll actually just I'll play that right now.
Do you have any idea how it happened? Is this awkward? Are you so locked in on Sid there?
Yeah, I know. I saw the crossbar, and I just decided, I think it'd be a great idea if I just put my face right through it and see what happens. So, great question.
Hey, if you can't at least dog your boy for that one, I mean, I'm a guy. You're talking.
You know what? You don't get a dog a guy who's led the league.
I'm talking. You're talking to a guy who skated full speed and knocked his goalie over on the power play, and the other team scored. I know what a blooper is, and the best player in the fucking world skating mouth first into the crossbar is comedy. Stop blaming the net and call out your boy.
I'm going to call him out for going back 2 years ago, leading the league in even strength goals. Last year, once again, leading the league in even strength goals. And who's leading the league again in even strength goals, Whit? Austin Matthews. I keep saying he's the greatest Maple Leaf of all time, and people are losing their minds on social media. Tell me who as a Maple Leaf has accomplished what he's accomplished individually in the amount of time to start their career as a Maple Leaf than he has. What right do I have to tell anybody that he's not going to continue doing what he's doing? Because he's fucking outperformed himself year over year since he's been there. So fuck off to all the haters. And as far as the trade, let's go back to the trade. Great move by Dubas. Obviously, they weren't crazy about the 2-year contract to Nick Ritchie. I was unaware, actually, in the midst of the trade that they gave him 2 years. And I think he was making, 2.5? Or
I thought it was 2.3, but
2.3. So they got the same amount of contract coming back. They get rid of the extra year. And what do they address? Labushkin is exactly as advertised. He's a great number 6, maybe 7, in and out of the lineup type guy on a Stanley Cup winning team. He's incredible in the defensive zone. He closes on forwards very fast, separates the man from the puck. And if you have a good centerman there to come by and scoop it, you're out of the zone. Over the course of his career, since he's came over from the KHL, his puck handling and puck skills have gotten a lot better, where he's not making the fuck ups maybe that he was early on. He knows exactly what his role is. He can play with probably, I would assume, maybe one of those skilled little defensemen that they got as far as their depth guy. They just needed somebody different that could play with that type of player where he's a lot more reliable. And he's not going to be botching the D to Ds. And he's going to be able to go D to D and maybe not give a fucking brick or a grenade like maybe Whit would do. So I really like the what Dubas did, and the fact that maybe the signing was a mistake, but they go out and then not only do they address that number 6-7 guy, but they get Dzingel, who's a bit of a wild card. We know what he did in Ottawa. Whit, I don't know if you've heard anything. This might be a rumor. I heard he was offered a 5x5 in Ottawa and turned it down because he was having such a great season. And that's when he ended up going over in the trade to Columbus. And I don't know how things worked out there, but then he ended up being a bit of a journeyman ever since. He signed the deal in Carolina. But type of guy, when maybe put with the top 6, can all of a sudden pop off. And maybe what they were expecting to happen with Richie, well, it happened with Bunting. They got one of the 2 guys they signed for that spot to have a good season. Well, maybe this is the other guy they can get to fill in. Or he just maybe becomes another guy who ends up being put on waivers. Who the fuck knows? But a great deal nonetheless, in what I think is probably the 3rd best GM in the NHL right now, besides Treelig, and then, of course, Bill Armstrong for the Coyotes.
Actually, he was waived today, Biz. I'm not sure if anyone picked them up. Or
there you go.
They're just doing it to whatever for salary cap reasons, but just want to fill you in. And yeah, Nick Ritchie had signed a 2-year, $5 million deal, which Bruins fans kind of like raised their eyebrows at when the Leafs did that after, we saw him here. But
they had him playing with Matthews and Marner in camp.
Who?
Richie.
Well, remember I said they're obviously hoping for a bargain player to end up having an impactful season. I said it from day one. I said I love Bunting's instincts. I love his grittiness. He gets it done in the other areas. His anticipation makes up maybe for his lack of speed. And look at the year he's had. So just like Dubas, I hit on one of 2 too.
Correct.
Boy, actually, going back to Austin, what's the worst way to lose teeth in the NHL? Would you guys say?
Skating face first into the crossbar.
Ooh.
I mean, it's tough. It's tough.
What's the worst way to lose teeth?
I don't know. I mean, is there one? I mean, losing teeth sucks, but is there one way more painful than the other? Like, getting punched in the mouth.
That question was more painful than any tooth I've been knocked out in my life. All right.
JR,
actually, maybe it's a slap shot right to the face. That's what I got.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah, thank you, Whit.
But in terms of pain with the bloopers,
actually, all right, I'll take it back. Getting a Chara clapper right to the face would be the worst way to lose teeth. So I'll take the L.
There's an old clip of JR. I think it was like 93 season. He got hit. He went face first it was in Montreal, face first into the crossbar, like right. I think he knocked all his top choppers out. It's probably online somewhere. Just one of the worst fucking things I've seen. It's brutal, dude. He lost like 6 or 7 teeth. Let's see. Toronto, I know they've been doing good this year, Biz, but they got a huge L when they dropped this Heritage Classic jersey, apparently designed by Plain Jane.
I don't hate it.
No, they didn't.
Much.
Everybody's talking about it.
Yeah, because it stinks.
I know, but it's much like my Nashville theory where it's like if you're going to do a one-off, I will say the jersey looks like the fucking person went out and got crippled off Pink Whitney the night before and maybe didn't do their homework and then had to show up and then they just put that together. They throw the T on it and the rest of the thing is blue. And what's it say? Arena behind it?
Yes, that's correct.
Yeah, it's just... I don't know, man.
I don't know what it is. Maybe it's because I had a big old T on my chest for Thayer Academy. Now, granted, we were black and orange. I do not hate the jersey. I think Matthews will look great buzzing around in that jersey. I would also like to see the socks. If the socks are just straight navy blue as well with no white line in them, then I'll really have an issue with the entire, uniform.
The Buffalo ones was pretty sharp, though. I mean, Buffalo is fucking much as we picked on them. The last few uniforms they've come out with were pretty goddamn good.
I love the ivory white. The ivory white, just like the St. Louis jersey, I think it gives it a nice pop. I don't think you can really fuck up that jersey that they had for the Heritage Classic. So I will say they did play it safe, but nonetheless, a beautiful jersey to own. Right, Whit?
Yeah. I think, though, that I almost said, don't they already kind of wear that jersey? Like, it was pretty similar to what some of their jerseys look like. I like it, but it wasn't that different in terms of like how much different Toronto and Nashville's are from their regular games. Gee, can we announce that we're going to be in Nashville?
Yes, I actually said it at the beginning of the pod, but we will be in Nashville Saturday for the Stadium Series, 3:30 p.m. Come by Jason Aldean's. We're doing a little Pink Whitney meet and greet,
so
come by, meet the boys.
I think that the Bussin' with the Boys is going to be there.
Yep. I'm going to try to go on the bus on Friday for an interview with the fellas, depending on my flight. But I can't wait to see that game. I mean, that's going to be a pretty sick setup. Nashville's an awesome town. And, you know, two good teams going head to head.
Yeah. We're going to be we're going to be in studio for TNT, so I will not be there. So I think Eric Young, the WWE wrestler, is also going to show up to the Pink Whitney party at Jason Aldean's at 3:30. So any fans looking to have a few cocktails before the game, head over there, meet Whit. The Bussin' with the Boys guys are probably going to pop by. I just mentioned Eric Young and hopefully another couple of people maybe under the Barstool umbrella.
RA.
Oh, you're going RA.
Yeah,
I must have missed that.
RA.
Yeah, okay.
Of course, I would never turn down a Nashville trip. Absolutely want to get down there. Yeah, gotta go see my boy Coop, hang out with Coop down over in town. But boys, I think it's time we bring on Sam Gagner. We've been having a nice little chat here, but we do got to do our interviews here. And this interview is brought to you by Dodge. Donuts. Not the Homer Simpson kind, the kind of donuts you could rip in a Dodge Hellcat. And Dodge wants you to be their new chief donut maker. Dodge is going to select a winner to go to the Radford Racing School to learn how to rip a proper donut as well as a bunch of other tricks. The chief donut maker will get $150,000 for 1 year of epic adventures in a new Dodge Hellcat and be the ultimate Dodge ambassador. Anybody can apply, and you don't even have to quit your job. You think you're the next chief donut maker? Just go to dodgegarage.com, sign up, and tell us why you'd be great as the new chief donut maker. Submissions end on February 28th. And once again, that's dodgegarage.com. And now, enjoy Sam Gagner. Well, it's time to welcome our next guest to the show. Drafted by Edmonton, 6th overall in the 2007 draft, he spent his first 7 seasons as an Oiler. After a few pit stops around the league, he ended up in Detroit, where he's currently in his 3rd season as a Red Wing and his 15th as an NHL player already. Guess that's what happened when you make the league as a teenager. Thanks so much for joining us on the Spittin Chiclets podcast. Sam Gagner, how's it going, pal?
It's great. Thanks for having me. I'm looking forward to catching up with Biz and Whit here, so it'll be good. Thank you.
Did you play with Biz too? We know you played with Whit.
I play with Whit. I never played with Biz, but a lot of mutual friends kind of cross paths at different times, whether it be, Olympic breaks or All-Star breaks or whatever through our friends. But it's, we go back. So it's going to be fun to catch up.
I think this is our first time having a current Red Wing on the podcast as well. We've had Lidstrom. Who else have we had? Darren McCarty, Chris Chelios, but you're the first current guy. And now we get to grill you about this new wave of player coming in. And you guys have had a great season so far.
Yeah, it's been good. I mean, I think, I don't know what expectations were for us going into the year, but I feel like we're building. We got a great group of young guys. They're awesome kids and great players. So it's been a lot of fun.
Gags, this Cedar, I never can say his name correctly. Either way, Moritz, he's a stallion. Yeah. I mean, It's like every game he's getting better. He's making these moves. He's just dynamic and he's enormous. Yeah. So it must be pretty cool being your age now, being like, I think we're seeing a future superstar here.
Yeah. I mean, the way he plays, I mean, he has great hockey IQ. He's one of those guys who isn't afraid of the moment ever. I think, if you saw a clip earlier in the year, after a whistle, he just kind of takes the puck from Hedman and is just toying with them. And it's situations like that he's just not scared of the moment, which is awesome. I'd imagine in playoff hockey, he's going to be an absolute beast. And, it's been fun playing with him.
Did you give him pull him aside after that one and say, hey, maybe not Hedman, maybe some other plugs in the league, but not Hedman.
Yeah, maybe pump the brakes. No, he's one of those guys, like you said, Whit, he's a stallion and you don't want to rein him in. Just let him do his thing. So it's been fun to watch.
And to hop in here quick, right off the hop of the season, I felt like there was a different attitude where I kept calling you guys the Goon Squad, but not afraid to mix it up as far as the physical play. Larkin, maybe not a guy in his past who's been typically a guy to drop the mitts, but he's been very active so far this year as well.
Well, Larks has grown into a great leader for us. Obviously he's a young captain, and there's a lot on his shoulders. Having grown up a Red Wing fan and being the captain of the Red Wings is a tough job to handle as a young kid, but he's handled it really well, and he kind of sets a tone for us. And it's like you said, we've kind of had that mentality, and the first kind of week of the season, it felt like we were brawling every night, and it was just it was like, what's going on here? But we kind of want to have that mentality where we're not going to be pushed around, we're going to fight for each other. And it's gone well so far. We've had growing pains like any young team does, but it's been fun to be a part of.
Another rookie everyone's been talking about, Lucas Raymond. If you could compare any players from, say, the last 20, 25 years between Seider and Raymond, what players would you compare them to?
Yeah, that's a tough one. I don't really get into the comparing game too much. I think Mo's
one of the interview.
Yeah. Sorry. But yeah, no, I think, Mo he's got that kind of, that physical presence that, for a skilled defenseman, there's not many guys like him anymore. He can beat a lot of different ways. I mean, he's running our power play, and, guys try and run him, and he reverse shoulders them, and he's got so many elements that it's tough to compare him. Raymond, I would say he controls the game like a Mitch Marner would. Everything kind of goes through him. The puck's on his stick all the time. He makes a ton of great plays. He's got amazing hockey IQ, and he's just he's one of those guys. He just keeps getting better as the year goes on. It's been awesome. I mean, both those kids, they're great kids too. They want to get better. So it's been a lot of fun.
Are they humble kids, or they carry a lot of swagger with them like some of the other young guys around the league?
They carry swagger, but I mean, I think it's kind of, one of my jobs as kind of a veteran guy, and Mark Stahl and I, we talk about this all the time. It's our job to kind of keep them under wraps, but it's not too hard. They're great kids. They work so hard. They're always the last guys on the ice, and so respectful. So it's you don't want. I hear that all the time about the game changing, but these kids that are coming in the league, they're so skilled and they're so good. You don't want to stifle that in any way. You just want to let them grow, and we're seeing it firsthand here.
Just as the game's changing with some of the Trevor Zegras stuff, and obviously everything's a little bit more fancy, you came in with tons of skill. I mean, you shootout master. You're almost going to be getting to the end of your career as it should have been for you at the beginning with all this trickster shit.
Yeah. I don't know. I mean, I still feel like, I like to try and pull it out every so often. My role's changed a little bit. So, you got to keep it a little simpler. But yeah, I mean, I think it's great for the game. Anytime you see, the creative, innovative things that are happening, it's only good for our league, and it's just going to continue to get better.
Were you lighting it up in minor hockey? Because I know you played with John Tavares, and you guys had some pretty elite teams in the GTHL? Yeah,
we had a pretty good squad. I think we had five guys play NHL games. 4 guys drafted in the first round. So it was first round of the NHL, which is kind of unheard of. For a minor hockey team. I think pretty much our entire team got drafted to the Ontario Hockey League. So we were a tough out. We were tough to beat. But
you guys
we had a lot
Quebec?
of fun. We didn't. We unfortunately our Pee Wee year got stepped over. Unfortunately, I heard you won that. a time or two.
Yeah, 97.
But wait, you didn't buy the hockey program after you ended up graduating on from that, because him and Johnny T, you guys ended up.
That's actually legendary.
Were they in like a financial trouble, or like was it just a good opportunity for you guys to step up and help?
It's nothing like that. It's nothing like that. It's not even considered a sale, really. It's they're just kind of transitioning board seats over to us. Jim Nicoletti and Lynn Dennis, they had been running the organization for 30 years. And, we had gone through, and they just got to the point where, they were ready to move on. And, with where I'm at in my career and where John's at, and, we just felt like the timing was right. It's a great opportunity for us to give back to an organization that's meant so much to us. And, just looking forward to seeing, how we can help out going forward.
Well, that team, I mean, you just mentioned Tavares. Who else was on there? Because I remember you go through these rosters with me, and Cogliano would be involved in this as well. It's just like the GTHL. I mean, if you're saying those guys ran that organization for 30 years, I can't imagine how many people they saw go on to play in the show. It's crazy.
Well, absolutely. I mean, we were going through the alumni the other day. It starts with Jason Spezia, Rick Nash, and goes through to, more recently, you got Connor McDavid, and there's just a bunch of, high-end talented kids that have come through. And, on our team, we had Brendan Smith, Hakeem Alou, Cody Golubeff, all played in the NHL. So, and then obviously Johnny and myself. So, and then we had a bunch of guys who had, great OHL careers or NCAA careers. So it was a pretty special team. Obviously had a lot of fun, going to tournaments and things like that. And, pretty much knowing you're going to win. It's a pretty good feeling as a kid. And, I have a ton of stories from growing up with those guys, and it was a lot of fun.
So Spez is a little older than you. Had they already developed, like within the program, like all this skill development, or was that something that you guys were outsourcing at the time?
Yeah. So obviously our team was really fortunate in the sense that, my old man was part of the coaching staff, and, he had played 15 years in the National Hockey League. And
big deal.
And he had a big focus on that, right? Every one of our practices, it had nothing to do with systems or, anything of that nature. It was all about skill development, making us better players. And, the winning kind of stemmed because of that. And, that's kind of something that, we want to make sure that continues to happen within the Marlboros as we kind of take over. I think, a lot of times in minor hockey, you get caught up in winning, and that's not the be all and end all at that age. It's about developing good players and people. And, we're excited about that.
Hey, he's going to be joining the Rink Shrink podcast after he's done his career with all these fucking hockey.
No, he's going to be laying down on a couch and talking to Yandel and Mods. Trying to go. And let me add you, we're talking Toronto here. This isn't Greater Boston.
I know.
Will you get like tweets and stuff from people complaining already because you're part owner?
I haven't got anything yet. We actually, we asked our minor hockey coach, James Naylor, to be our president and to kind of handle all that for us. And he's kind of shielded us from it thus far. Yeah. Obviously we're playing and we got a lot going on right now. So, he'll call us with big things. But for the most part, he handles it and deflects it. And parents they want the best for their kids, and there's going to be things that happen that you just kind of scratch your head at. I remember one of my first tournaments playing for the Marlboros, a parent in like the 10th row threw a garbage can on the ice because he was upset with an offside call. And I was just like, I'm coming from Florida and I'm like, this doesn't happen there. Right. So it's just a different animal, and there's different things you're going to have to deal with, but it's part of it.
You're going to get pranked, but it's not going to be one of your teammates. It's actually going to be a parent of a 14 and under team, because he got 2 shifts in the third. So we're going to give him a leaner in his hotel room in Buffalo.
Yeah, it's so true. There's going to be things like that happen, no question.
I was going to ask you, what led you to the USHL? Because you ended up playing in a junior program, then went off to the UCHL. Were you planning on going to college?
Yeah. So, I committed to University of Wisconsin as a 15-year-old, and so the plan was the 2-year gap to go to the USHL. I went to Sioux City for 1 year, and I remember Mark Hunter, who had drafted me to the OHL. He came like 5-6 different times, and we had breakfast at Perkins in Sioux City, Iowa. And I got to the point where I'm like, if this guy's going to keep coming down to Iowa to try and get me to come to his team, like, how do I say no to that? And you look at, the opportunity in London and the, pro environment and all those different things. And, I just I felt like the timing was right, and, things have worked out, obviously. So, yeah.
Is either sign a restraining order or with the London Knights, I guess, right? So you kind of went with the latter.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
that's a little bit aggressive. Had he been scouting you a ton beforehand? Is that why?
Yeah. So I mean, the year before when I played for the Marlies, he'd been scouting me a ton, and then at Christmas the year I was playing for Sioux City, I went and played for the under-17s Ontario, and I had a great tournament. And that's kind of when the process kind of picked up even more. I went to the Memorial Cup when they had hosted it and won, and they were trying to get me to come then. And I don't know how I turned it down, honestly. When you look at, the 10,000 fans in the arena, and it was just, I got a chance. I was 15 years old, and I wasn't able to go out on Richmond Road yet, but I saw what was happening, and I'm like, how do I turn that down? I did. But I ended up coming a year later, and obviously a great decision, worked out. So it was a lot of fun.
We just mentioned Taves. You also played with Patrick Kane up there and Sergei Kostitsyn. You guys put up almost 400 points collectively in about 60 games. It was like just toying with the opposition up there when you were playing.
Well, he played 43 minutes a game.
Yeah, honestly. So I remember we were playing against Plymouth in the playoffs, and they had the real deal James Neal and Jared Bowl, and they just used to run around like animals. And I think Nealer took a 5-minute major on Kaner and just killed him. And we were out there for probably 4 minutes and 20 seconds, and we came to change, and Dale told us to stay. And so it was just one of those situations. Like when we were on the power play, we were staying no matter how long the power play was. We stayed out the whole time. So it helps you get a few points if you're playing 5-minute power plays. But yeah, it was a lot of fun. No question about that.
Any full Russian modes from Kostitsyn? Sometimes those boys, they get out of control. I mean, I don't know if you keep up with the KHL tabloids, but those guys like to have a good time, man.
Yeah, no, he was, he had a good time. I mean, I think he was 19 years old at the time, and he had his own apartment, which was kind of unheard of. And as an OHLer, you normally had to, bill it. So yeah, he was awesome to play with. Honestly, he in the OHL, he was a wrecking ball, and he scored. He played on the penalty kill. I mean, I think when you look at the talent he had, you expected him to have a great NHL career, and he went on to play games, and but yeah, I mean, playing with him and Kaner at the junior level was obviously a lot of fun.
Yeah, so what's Kaner like at that point? I mean, is he
worse than Kostitsyn?
I didn't even mean off ice. Yeah, I didn't even mean off ice. I'm just more thinking of him dangling around in practice, laughing at everyone.
No, he was great. He made that league look easy. I think we were tied in points heading to the World Juniors, and then he came back. He had a great World Juniors, and he just kind of took off. Once he had figured out the league, it became, he was getting 2-3 points every night. And yeah, it was, there were so many questions at that point. I think when he came into the league, it was like he was ranked in like the 4th round or something like that. And to look back on now, it's silly. He ends up going 1st overall and plays the next year and is winning cups and Conn Smythes, right after that. So he's, a special talent.
You mentioned your coach, Dale Hunter. Were you familiar? You must have been familiar with his reputation as a tough player. Did that kind of make him scary as a coach in any way?
he was really good to us. I'm sure that there's, some of our fourth line guys probably felt the heat a little more than we did. He just kind of let us play and, tried to teach us to be pros. And, I thought he did a great job with us. When I made it to the NHL in Edmonton, I felt ready because of the different things that I went through in London. But certainly you hear all the stories of what he was like as a player. And, you watch some of the clips, you see the hit on Turgeon and different things like that. I mean, and the cool part was my dad was an assistant coach for the team as well. So he got all the stories. Dale would, they'd sit in the room and tell stories. So he would come home and tell me some of the stories, and it was just, have me on the floor laughing. He was, a lot of funny ones for sure.
He didn't know Turgeon scored though, so I don't.
No. It was.
There was 15,000 in the crowd going nuts, but he didn't know.
He didn't hear the whistle. I heard.
Oh yeah. So I could take the earmuffs off. I was going to ask you about your dad. You've mentioned him twice now. So when you were playing in minor hockey and he was your coach then, on these car ride homes, would you guys just go back and forth about your game, what he saw, what you saw, and did that help big time in your development?
Absolutely. I don't think there's any chance that I'm the player I am today without my old man. Just the things that he taught me and, his example as well. I mean, he's a really intense guy and, he brought that as a coach. And, I think if you look back on, if you ask anyone from our minor hockey team, their experience, he demanded a lot of us as kids, but once you got to the pro level, it almost felt like, it was, we had gotten that since we were 10 years old. So, I owe everything to him, the amount that he's taught me. And, my parents have, like all you guys know, I mean, you don't do it without your parents, and the sacrifices they make are incredible. So, I owe it all to them for sure.
I mentioned you made the team right out of camp as an 18-year-old kid. What were your expectations going into camp? Were you surprised they kept you?
Definitely. I didn't expect to make the team. I came, we had the Canada-Russia Super Series, I think it was, can't remember the anniversary. It was, but I had a really good tournament and it kind of led right into training camp, and I came in game ready. I had my timing down and ready to play. And then we had a couple right wingers go down early in camp, and it just kind of opened up a position for me. And I had a great start. And, with where Edmonton was at as an organization, and, they're trying to get younger, and it was an opportunity for me to step in. And we had kind of more of a veteran team at that time too. So, and I think I was the only 18-year-old in the league at the time. So, bit of a culture shock coming from junior, but I think once again, having my dad to kind of bounce things off of and the different experiences that he had gone through, it really helped me.
Who sort of helped you along? Like what veterans maybe took you under the wing, kind of showed you the ropes? Because that is young, 18 years old. You're still a kid. Yeah,
absolutely. I mean, Ethan Morrow, he was our captain at the time. He actually had a house that me, Andrew Cogliano, and Tom Gilbert lived in. So, and it was free of charge. And as an 18-year-old, that was amazing. And him and his family kind of, made sure everything was okay. Sean Horkoff is another guy, Steve Staios. I mean, there's so many guys there that were kind of instrumental in helping us kind of grow in the league. I mean, it's funny looking at it now. Hork is, part of our front office here in Detroit. So it's kind of come full circle for me. But I mean, I had a lot of fun my first few years in the league, and coming in with those guys that had been around a long time was really helpful for me.
Hey, thinking back, I mean, Tom Gilbert, when he was playing, he was a hell of a player, and also a funny guy, his sense of humor. Have you stayed in touch with him? Because he played a long time. I think he was just recently still playing in Europe.
Yeah, I think he finished in Germany. He's, we've kind of lost touch a little bit, which is kind of, it's unfortunate. We were so tight, living together for a few years. It's the nature of it. I mean, I'm married, 3 kids now. He's got a family as well. But yeah, I mean, he was awesome. He was a great player, especially when he first broke into the league. He's one of those guys, he'd go back and get pasted into the end wall and just make a little play to the middle and you're out of the zone. And it just made it so easy to play with. And then, Cogs and I are still really tight. We talk all the time. I just, went for dinner with him in San Jose when we played there. So it's a lot of fun thinking back on those days.
Whit, one of the guys that he played with his rookie year was Dwayne Rolson, and we've heard some funny stories about this guy. And anything that you'd be willing to share about his antics off the ice in his NBA draft suits?
Oh man, that's a good one. I was telling one the other day. We were at a team event, and we had these guys that were golfing behind us, and they kind of kept hitting into him. And it was, I don't know, Whit, if you remember this one, but it was Daryl Cates had put it on. So all his friends were there. So it's like big wigs in Edmonton or whatever. And these guys kept hitting into him, and it was making him angry. So he's like, okay, I got to do something. And we had this big gala after, and Rolly says, I'm going to do something. We're like, hey, just relax. But he was fired up because, and so he goes up to this guy, and he's got a full pint glass of beer and douses the guy. And he's like soaked. And we're like, oh my God. And you look over, and he's still got a little left in the glass, gets him again. So it creates a whole melee, and we get it broken up or whatever. And we get Rolly on the bus, and he's like, upset about what had just happened. And we're like, yeah, no, like, but like, why'd you have to do that? He goes, yeah, I just kind of snapped. But he goes, the worst part is I don't think I got the right guy. We're like, oh no. But yeah, it was a good one. But
hey, and Liquid Dueno, he would get hot too, right? When he'd be playing good, he was like, you couldn't beat him.
It was unbelievable. We had nights where, he'd make 50 saves. And I mean, you look back in the cup run a couple years prior to me getting there, and I mean, that doesn't happen without what he was able to do. I think it was fun for me too, because my dad actually had played with him in Calgary, and so he kind of took me under his wing a little bit, and it was fun. I mean, having the opportunity to do things like that. I mean, my old man had played with Rolly, he played with Jason Strudwick, he played with Stevie Steos, and then I'm playing with these guys. It's just a really cool experience to be able to go through stuff like that.
You said your old man had a pretty intense demeanor. Was he like that as a player? And you seem like you're pretty calm, or is that just how you collect yourself on the outside, where maybe deep down you're a little bit more intense than people think?
He was like that as a player. I have the ability to snap. I think that I'm away from the rink, I'm way more like my mom. I don't really get upset about anything. But at the rink, I do, I have that fiery side that my dad's kind of instilled in me. Like it's, so, I mean, I remember him telling me stories as a player about, him being hard on the young guys. I mean, Jerome McGinley actually came up to me one time and said, your dad was crazy with me. And I was like, well, what do you think he was like with his own kid? Like, that's just kind of
like he got game shit. Eh?
Yeah, exactly. So like, I mean, Jerome McGinley came into the league as a rookie, and my dad was his line mate. And it was like, hey kid, get her going tonight, or else, I'm going to be all over you. And Jerome had said to me, like, it helped him a lot. And I mean, I had that with some of the older players that came into the league, that I came into the league with, and it helps. I mean, it's a hard league. You got to play every night, and you need those veteran guys to help you along.
Whit, do you ever snap on you about maybe a shitty breakout pass, or maybe not snapping?
I remember us going back and forth because, I was snapping at tape to get gags a decent amount of times. I actually scored on your 8-point night, so you could thank me for that a little bit as well.
Yeah, but, that was I don't know if I deserved that assist, but
that was the one that people tried calling you out for. But hey, when you're at home and you got 7 points going, that's okay.
100%. And you don't think on one of Gretzky's 8-point nights he wasn't get one of those? Like,
oh no!
Here.
Hey,
Yeah.
clip it, Granelli. Gagner's saying that they were giving Gretzky phantoms.
Yeah, Biz is going to go to TNT. This is going to be the lead story.
Oh yeah, no shit. You're done, buddy. You're not getting
my old man. My old man actually told me a story about he was at one of these like Legends dinners, and Gretz, Brett Hull, and Messier were sitting at the table, and my dad was just like in awe, and they're going back and forth telling stories. And Gretz gets kicked out of a face-off, and Mess gets thrown in, and they snap the drawback, and it goes in the net. So Mess gets credit for the goal. And he's telling this story, and Holy goes, "What are you complaining about? You probably got the assist." And it's just like kind of it's something that people used to talk about at Rexall. But I think at home there should be 2 assists on everything. It never really happens anymore, but that's the way it should be.
Well, now they get the gambling involved, so it's a player over points, but.
Different animal.
I'm looking at your rookie year roster, and there's just so many guys that I've heard so many different funny stories about. And like even looking at Hemmer, right? I called Alex Hemsky when we were in Dallas, or we were texting, and he said, "Let's meet for a beer." I said, "Hemmer, would you love to come on the show? We just chat about your career." Because he says, "That's not what I'm about, Whit. I'll meet you for a beer, though."
Yeah, nah, that's not something Hemmer would be involved in at all. But yeah, he was a fun guy. What do you mean?
Hated talking about hockey away from the rink?
Nope, just hated the media and like was just. Hey, Gags, how would you describe it?
He was just. I mean, he's got that kind of a cool guy mentality, right? Like he's just he's chill about everything, and he's like, why do we got to be serious and talk hockey or whatever? Like he was he talk about a guy with a ton of talent though. I mean, some of the things that he was able to accomplish, and you look at kind of what we went through as a team and where he was at in his career, and it probably wasn't the best for him, but when I first came to the league and I saw the talent he had, it was pretty incredible.
Gags, I might get a diplomatic answer here, but do you find that playing in the Canadian market sometimes when things aren't necessarily going well can really wear the guys down? Like I see Connor McDavid right now, and like I just it looks like a guy's been like beaten to a pulp in a sense of having to answer the same questions every night, getting ragged on, and people like living and breathing it all.
Yeah. I mean, it goes the other way too as well, though, right? I mean, whenever we had success and things were going really well, it's unbeatable. So I would say that it's just more of a roller coaster, and you have to learn to deal with the ups and downs a little bit more than you would in a market. I remember, I mean, you played in Arizona, and I got traded there from Edmonton, and it couldn't have been more different. Win or lose, there wasn't the same attention to it, and it allowed you to just kind of settle in and play your game. But then one of the best parts I found about playing in those Canadian markets is that's all people talked about was hockey, and you felt like you were living out your dream, because that's what you want as a kid. You want your entire day to be about hockey. So when I first got to Edmonton and things were going really well, I mean, I couldn't have asked for anything better. So it's it's a balance, but I do feel for I feel for those guys right now. I love playing in Edmonton, and I have I hope they can turn it around. I mean, it's I think they deserve it there. It's just it's certainly it's not fun when it's not going well.
You had a front row seat to the Whit show for a few seasons in Edmonton. You must have some good stories on him.
Yeah, Whitty.
I mean, setting good veteran examples.
Yeah, I don't know if there's much I can talk about, but yeah. No, Whit was great. I mean, he's living with Hall and Ebbs, and kind of hanging out with them all the time. Going to the Cactus Club at West Edmonton Mall. That was just kind of it was Whit was great. I mean, when he first got traded to us, he's kind of exactly what we needed, right? Like a guy could snap the puck up and make it easy on us forwards, and certainly a lot of fun to play with.
Hey, we've told some I appreciate that. We've told some pretty funny Pat Quinn stories on here, and I was talking to Hork the other night. I mentioned that you were coming on, and he's like, "Oh, you gotta have him tell the story about how when he used to call you and Cogs' line."
Oh, well, the funny thing is, so the whole story starts. He wasn't great with names. I mean, he's a great man, but names, I remember we were doing this the other day. We were playing Washington, and the way we penalty kill our entire system is obviously take away Ovi. And I remember when we were playing against him in Edmonton, he was like, "Hey boys, this Ovalchuk, he's got a one-timer. We got to watch out for Ovalchuk on the backside." And we're all looking around like, "Ovalchuk? This guy's leading the league in scoring every year." We're calling him Ovalchuk. But yeah, the one
hybrid.
time the
hybrid. We're in trouble tonight. We got the fucking transformer.
Yeah, no, Quinter started the cyborg. The one night he was calling out the starting lineup, and he said, and up front we got Gagliano, your line's going. And me and Cogs are like, we're both centers. Which one of us is going? Oh man.
Oh, I love these name collabs. This should happen more, man. He was ahead of his time. Holy shit.
Yeah.
We get the half jersey
coach.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry, Biz.
Oh no, that's okay. It was a shitty joke. He mentioned the fact that Cogliano, I would have never have guessed it because he seems like a pretty serious guy, but one of the funniest guys that Whit ever played with. Unreal storyteller and unreal imitations too, right, Whit?
It's unbelievable. He's like he's one of those guys that I mean, Whit, you can allude to it. He's a shy guy. Like when he's in a group of 1, 2, 3, he's like doesn't really say much, and then you have 15 guys there and he's like telling a story and he's got the animation going and he's just like, he takes over the room and you're like, how does this happen? But he's just, he's hilarious. And the ultimate storyteller. He's got some all-timers.
Yeah. I mean, you guys came in together and at that point it was Mac T was head coach, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. So take me through, I mean, you guys had pretty sick years for being, 18, 19 years old. I mean, it must have been pretty exciting at that point to see a little bit of an Oilers kind of hopeful improvement while you guys are having success. I'm guessing you didn't really expect going into camp.
No. Yeah. I mean, Cogs had a great camp. And then, I was able to make the team as well. And both of us didn't really expect to make the team. So, we're like, when we got our housing letters or whatever, like, should we live together? And we lived with Gibby and everything just kind of worked out for us. And the fact they were able to live together and go through all those things together, it was incredible. And being a young guy playing in Edmonton and, we didn't make the playoffs either of those first years that MacD was there, but we were right in the hunt right to the end. I remember the first year we had a bunch of guys injured and we went on a run to end the season and ended up missing the playoffs by, I think, a point. And it was just, I mean, it was so much fun, having that be our first year in the league. And it's something I went for dinner with them the other night and something we still talk about. So, obviously pretty cool.
I want to go back to your draft quickly. You did an interview for NHL.com and you listed your favorite band as Goo Goo Dolls. Is that still the case?
I said that. Ooh,
Irish is a banger, though.
Oh yeah.
I think Goo Goo Dolls is criminally underrated. I think they're amazing, but I don't think they're my favorite anymore. I've seen them in college. I don't know. I don't know. Lumineers probably would be what I like, that kind of genre, that style of music. So something like that.
Well, for the lake life, because you're spending most of your off season on Lake, what is it, Lake Muskoka or Lake Joe?
I used to be on Muskoka. Now I'm on Lake Rosso. They're all three of them are Joe and Rosso and Muskoka are connected. So it's a pretty cool place to spend the summer for sure.
So you just head up there. Is that where you own? Do you own in Toronto as well, or are you just always up there if you're back home?
No, I'm always just up there. We made my wife and I made the decision that just be up there all summer. There's a rink about 20 minutes away that, Tavares just bought up there. McDavid's up there. Bo Horvat's up there now. Kyle Clifford, Good Branson. Like we got a really good crew of guys that are, starting to skate there kind of full time now. A couple of them are, still pretty Cliffy's a little old school, so he'll come on, a few times late in August and snap it around a bit. But
work on his dump ins.
Yeah, but then you got the opposite end of that with JT, who's wanting to be on the ice all day, every day in the summer, and working on his game nonstop. So it's a good balance.
Is he kind of like the Sid to the McKinnon, where he's dragging you over to his gym all the time, or who's got the best gym set up, and where are you guys training?
We both got our own spot. I think he last year actually had all of his Leaf teammates up for a week.
I heard that,
and which was great. Obviously helped the numbers, and then he's got his gym set up there, and then I got my own spot, and I had some of the young guys that train up there. Jack Quinn with the Sabres came out a few times, and Cody Clark, Wendell's kids. So we got a good crew, and it's just fun just being able to train and get out on the lake the rest of the day and golf or whatever it is. I mean, now that I got 3 kids, I mean, you want to take any opportunity you can in the summer to kind of decompress and relax and be around your kids and have some fun. So it's a perfect setup for us.
All right. That's why I thought the Leafs were dangerous coming in, because they had that little regroup session and brought everybody up to JT's cottage. And I think from what I hear, he had a little pep talk with the boys. So I think they're fucking ready for a run.
It's yeah. I mean, I didn't get the invite, obviously, to go over there and hang with them. But seeing as I'm in their division is probably a good thing. But yeah, I mean, they actually, I think they went back to Muskoka for training camp. So they're, I would say that's a big positive for them, being able to have that time up there.
Sam, your time in Edmonton, it kind of ended a little unusually. You got traded twice within 1 hour. So that first trade, did Tampa tell you sit tight? We're not keeping you. How did that all play out?
Yeah. No, it's funny. It's actually, so Stevie was the GM of Tampa at the time. So he called my agent and said, essentially it was a cap move for them. So I got traded for Teddy Purcell, and we were making a similar amount, but I was still 24 years old. So if they were to buy me out, my cap hit would have been a third as opposed to 2/3. So that was their decision. And, so I was just kind of sitting there waiting to see, if either I was going to get bought out or traded again, and ended up getting traded to Arizona. So kind of a whirlwind. I remember right after Luongo tweeted the 3 emoji pictures of I think it was a snowman, and then, palm trees, and then, a desert or something like that. But
cactus.
Yeah, it was
a cactus emoji.
Cactus. I think that's probably it. Yeah. But it was certainly a whirlwind. I was actually at the cottage at the time. So, and it was a week before my wedding. Had a few Oiler teammates bail on my wedding, so I had to, bite the bullet on their meals. But that's just part of it, right? Yeah.
They mailed you cards.
Yeah, no, they said they got sick, right? Yeah, so I don't know, they weren't able to make it, but it happens.
And then next few years you get traded a few times. Was it getting frustrated going team to team every year, or were you just sort of content to have a job in the NHL? What was that like going? I think you went 5 years and 5 different teams.
You went over to Columbus, and I feel like that was a place where you really had your bounce back year, because then you ended up getting a pretty good contract after that. Was it I'm pretty sure Torts was the coach at the time there, right?
Yeah. I mean, part of it was difficult. I mean, I had played 7 years in Edmonton to that point, and I was getting married to a girl from Edmonton, and then I get traded, and I had, for the last number of years, I was in a new spot every year. We got 3 kids now, so it was probably harder on her than it was on me. And I'm so thankful for kind of the support and everything that she's gone through to make sure that life away from the rink is easy, so that I can just focus on hockey. But certainly, I mean, I spent time in the minors when I was in Philadelphia after I got traded from Arizona. Had a really good year in Columbus, and had some great opportunity there in the power play and playing in a bunch of offensive situations. and then signed in Vancouver. And, for whatever reason, it didn't really work out there the way I had hoped. And then, spent some time in the minors again and went back to Edmonton, which was really a thrill for me. It was a different stage of my life. My wife just gave birth to our third our baby girl. So it was a completely different phase. And I had so much fun with that. And then get traded to Detroit, and it's been great, honestly. I mean, I'm big part of our team here and getting a chance to play in a bunch of different situations. So, I mean, it's all part of the journey. You have different struggles throughout your career, and you just try and, take it in stride and enjoy the ride. And, not many guys are fortunate enough to get the chance to, play a game for a living. So I'm thankful for that. And, I just want to keep going as long as I can.
Yeah, and I think you've always had that attitude of just you really love the game. I could always tell that about you. You loved being at the rink, being on the ice, and then you're 26 years old. I think you'd played over 500 games, and all of a sudden, like you're in Lehigh, you're in the AHL, and you're a high pick. So I mean, that's got to be. I mean, when I first went down, I was a little older, and it was tough to take. Were you able to really kind of fight through that because of your love for the game? And did you have any time where you're like, holy shit, I can't believe I'm in the minors right now?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, that one was hard because it was the first time I'd ever been in the minors. Yeah. And at that time you're thinking, I'm 26 years old. This is supposed to be the prime of my career. And when I got traded to Philadelphia, I was excited for that opportunity. And, it was just, I don't know if I was ever really in the plans early on. And, I'm proud of the way I fought back. And, I think when we ended up making the playoffs kind of right at the end of the season. And then, I was, playing a, pretty regular role in the playoffs. And it was the first time I'd been in the playoffs in my career. So it ended up working out there. And then, I got the deal the next year in Columbus. And so, I mean, yeah, it's all part of it. I mean, everyone goes through struggles in their career at different times. And, it's, like you said, Whit, if you love the game and, you just keep pushing through and keep trying to enjoy it. And, the game's given me a lot back. So really thankful for that.
Yeah, you had your best offensive output under Torts. Did he just find something in you that you had inside you? Like, was he a big motivator, the favorite coach you might have had?
Well, so I remember I called it was middle of August and I didn't have any offers. And Columbus called and said, hey, listen, we're interested in giving you a chance, and we'll give you an opportunity as an offensive guy to kind of find a role. And so I remember calling Vinny LeCavalier, and I just said, hey, what's Torts like? And he's like, he's crazy. But if he tells you he's going to give you an opportunity, he's going to give you an opportunity. He's honest. So I signed, and it was one of those situations. I think I got scratched like the third game of the year, and I was really upset about it. And I was like, I thought I was going to give it a chance, and then game 4, he comes right back to me and gives me a chance in the first power play, and I kind of never really looked back. Our power play went on a heater, and ended up having an amazing year. Had a ton of fun with that group. I mean, at one point we won 16 in a row. So, yeah, I mean, it was awesome. So it was a great experience.
And then your second go around with Edmonton, you got to play with a young Connor McDavid. Is he better now than he was then, or has he just been always this good?
Yeah, I mean, I think he's continuing to improve. I mean, he's another guy. I mean, he loves the game. When I spend time with him in the summers too in Muskoka, and he's always working on different elements of his game to improve and try and get better. I remember I actually skated with him. I was 19 years old and he was 12. And we had a mutual friend in Toronto. He's like, hey, you mind going out skating with this kid? And I'm like, yeah, no problem. And I went out there with him, and he was doing things that I couldn't do. And I'm like, I'm a second-year NHL player. How is this possible? And then sure enough, you keep tabs on him, and he goes on to, I don't know if we've ever seen anybody like him, really. The way he plays the game and his ability, it's incredible to watch. And when I got a chance to play with him and see some of the things he was able to do in practice. I mean, you guys know we do like certain angling drills in practice that get frustrating for forwards because they, you just get closed off and run into the boards and it sucks. And Connor just skates around people, and you're not supposed to be able to do that. And it's the NHL, but he makes it look so easy a lot of the times. And it was certainly fun playing with him.
Joey Moss, you were super close with him.
Yeah,
I think I've heard you tell 10 Joey Moss stories, just brought that joy every day to the locker room, and he'll be forever missed.
He was the best, man. I mean, I look back at the relationship that the young group of us had with him. He's the life of the room. I mean, every day he came to the rink with a smile on his face, and he was, bickering at guys and making fun of guys. And he just like the positive attitude that he had. I mean, it was incredible. And, some of the dark times that we went through in Edmonton with the losing, I mean, I can't imagine what that would have been like without him and his presence. So I'm so thankful that I got the chance to get to know him. It's just he was the best.
Oh, sorry, Whit. I don't know.
No, go ahead, buddy.
I apologize. Hockey players are creatures of habit. So how are guys coping with all the delays and all the COVID shit this year? Just kind of throwing everything out of whack right now.
Yeah, no, for sure. It's difficult at times. Like you said, I mean, once you get into your routine of playing games and practicing and all those different things, you try and plan ahead on the schedule and get into your rhythm, and different things happen that kind of get in the way, and it's just part of it. I mean, I think you look at what's gone on in the world, and how much people have had to deal with, and what we've gone through as NHL players is really nothing. So, I look at, I'm with the Marlies, all these kids aren't, don't even get the chance to play right now. Their league's on hold, and they didn't get to play all last year. And if that had happened to me at their age, I mean, I don't know what I would have done. I mean, I just feel so bad for everyone that has to go through that. So, I mean, in the grand scheme of things, what we've had to deal with as NHLers and some of the postponements, it's just kind of part of it. And I think we're all just happy that, we get the chance to play in front of fans and do our thing.
Going back to the time in Edmonton, do you remember the time Cogs was on the ice for like 13 straight goals against? Do you remember that little streak he had? And you remember I came in the lounge, by the way, at Rexall Place. The players' lounge in the locker room there was first class, even though it was an old building. And I came in and Cogs was sitting there, and he had his bunga pads on. For people who don't know, it's so you don't get lace bite, and he takes them off and he's sitting on that couch and he goes, I don't know what else I can do, Whit. I got nothing. I got nothing left.
I think right in the middle of it too, of that whole stretch, was when he got high stick by Joni Pikkanen, and he was just like, he lost teeth, and there was blood everywhere, and it was just like, it was awful. And he came into the dressing room and got stitched up and was like, he's like, I'm going to battle through this. And his first shit back, he gets scored on again. And he was just like, what am I doing here? But then to add to that story, so he gets stitched up, and he's like, there's like a kind of a bubble in his lip. And, guys in the team are like, oh, it's just scar tissue. Like, I remember Zach Sortini saying to him, like, you just gotta rip it up. And he's like, rip it up? It's so painful. Like, what are you talking about? So he's like grabbing at his lip, trying to like break up the scar tissue or whatever. And it's not getting any better. So he goes to see the plastic surgeon when we get back to Edmonton. And they go to open him up, and it's his tooth had been stitched back into his lip. Oh. So it wasn't scar tissue. So he's trying to break it up. Oh. And this is right in the middle of on the ice for 13 straight goals against. It was just it was a tough time for the guy, but he's persevered. So
yeah, he has.
It's amazing. I mean, when you look at, so he played through that and some of the other stuff that he played through. I was, when he got that suspension that ruined his Ironman streak, man. I was so upset, so rattled for him. because he's such an honest player, right? He's never really done anything wrong. So for that to happen, I still feel for him. I mean, he'd have played over 1,000, without getting injured. So, but I mean, it happens.
And he's on San Jose now, and they're sticking with it. I mean, they're in the race. And the other funny thing is I remember I think he was restricted that year too. So we were like, Hogs, what are you going to get? What's your contract going to be? He's like, this is a big year, Whit. This is a big year. And then I was like, would you take a 9-year deal for $9 million? Just $1 million a year? He's like, no doubt I would. Are you kidding me right now? I go, Cogs, you could end up making 30 though. He's like, I don't care.
He goes, my stats aren't great right now. And at this time, he wasn't penalty killing. I don't think he wasn't really like the player that he's turned into. And he's like, I think I'd take it. So good.
That's how bored you guys are getting Edmonton. You just chucking hypotheticals at each other on the couch, crushing pints. Eh?
Yeah.
No, Joey would be giving them to us. Joey gave them us, and then we figured them out.
So were you there? We were there for the famous wrestling match between who was it? Him and Penner at the time.
He used to wrestle everybody. I think his record was like 2-64 or something. But
he would lose.
Beat me one. He would lose. Oh yeah, and then he'd fake an injury every time.
Always fake injuries.
It was unbelievable. He'd end up on the traders table holding something, and then he'd come in and he'd be like, he'd like smile and be like, I'm actually fine. And we're like, yeah, we know you're actually fine. You just lost, so you're faking an injury. We get it. But oh man, some of that stuff, it was just the best times ever.
We had fun times. I know the teams were bad, but those were great guys. I actually look back on those teams. They were awesome crews of people hanging out. The staff there was the best. TD4s, Harry Lang. It was just a great crew. Happy. I love all those guys.
Yeah, they're great. They're great. I miss them. They're awesome people, and just everything. With Joey in the room, just kind of the life he brought and the different things that were happening. Like it was just awesome.
Gags, are your boys into hockey?
My 6-year-old, he actually just played his first game today. Yeah.
No way.
No, he's played his first game today. And he was all fired up about it. So he's getting to the age now, right, where he can come to my games and start to, recognize what's happening and, see what I do for a living. And, he's starting to get really into it. So my 4-year-old boys, he doesn't want to get into it yet, but I honestly, whatever they want to do, it's completely up to them. So, but yeah, it's been fun.
And
well, your oldest boy is at the age when he can start playing games, but that also means the age is coming soon where Mr. Hunter may show up to say you're coming up to London, we're going up to get breakfast in Perkins.
Yeah. Good point. He's gonna. We got the Marlies too, so I don't know. He's kind of got his career tracked out for him if he wants to do it.
So regardless if he decides to end up playing, could you see yourself going back as like a minor hockey league coach once you're retired, or like what do you see yourself maybe doing in post retirement?
Yeah, I mean, I want to stay involved in the game. I love I love the game and I want to be a part of it. I think I wouldn't want to be a coach. Some of the things that I've said about coaches over different, parts of my career, I don't want that being said about me ever. But yeah, it's, I think being a coach, especially at the professional level, is a really hard thing. Like guys are fighting for their careers and you can't please everybody. So it just, it's really difficult, and I having, played as long as I have, you understand that more and more as you go along in your career. But I'll coach my kids. I mean, I remember, some of the things that my dad said to me. I remember he, I had a game where I wasn't, I didn't really try or something. And he's like, if you want to do this, I'm going to be hard on you. And if you want to play house league, that's no problem. You can just have fun with your buddies. And I'm like, I want to do this. And I might've regretted that at times, but yeah, he was, he was, he pushed me to be better and I'm thankful for it. I mean, I don't have the career I have without, everything that he put into it.
We know Stevie Y's been working on rebuilding Stevie Y's been working on rebuilding the franchise the last couple of years. You guys are on the playoff bubble right now. Is there a feeling in the room that the organization is turning a bit of a corner right now?
Yeah, I mean, I think we feel it. We're growing. It's we got some young guys that are coming up that have been instrumental to our success. And if you want to be a winning team, you need those guys to step into your lineup and carry the load. And I think like I said, we've been through some growing pains as well. It's part of it. But yeah, I mean, I think anytime you look at what Stevie built in Tampa and, what he's starting to build here, it's something you want to be a part of. I think, having, trusting that, management is going to do the right thing to help, move your team forward is a big thing as a player. And, they're making the right moves, and it's been fun to be a part of.
How long is it before that Stevie Y aura wears off for young guys? Because I saw him in the press box one time, and he just has that, holy shit, it's Steve Eisenman.
Yeah.
He like kind of gets stopped in his tracks.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, I don't know what it's like for kind of the generation that's starting, but that's who I grew up watching and idolizing, right? I mean, I don't know if I should say this now as a Red Wing, but I was a Peter Forsberg fan, right? So I would always, watch that rivalry back in the day. And, the way that Stevie played and the leadership ability, and it's just, I mean, and he still has that aura. He walks into our dressing room, and, the mood changes a little bit. And, but I mean, he's such a smart hockey mind, and he has so much respect around our room that it's been great playing here.
They were saying in New Jersey, when Lou would come down, they'd all put the L up on the ALs. So do you guys give all each other the heads up when Stevie's around?
Yeah, no, I haven't seen anything like that yet, but yeah, I mean, he certainly has an aura about him. I think you just have a feeling that he's in the room when he walks in. So puts you on edge a little bit.
Well, Gags, thanks so much for joining us. I mean, it's been pretty cool to see the career you've had, and the way you mentioned the downs as well as the ups shows, it's a pretty mature guy. So I appreciate you coming on, and it was a blast playing with you. Good luck the rest of the year. Yeah,
thanks, Whit. Thanks for having me and Biz and RA. And it's been a lot of fun. Hopefully I got some more left in me, and we can talk again at a later date.
Do you have a golf course hookup? Because we're looking to come up to Lake Ross. Is that what it's called? Lake Ross?
We just invited ourselves.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay. Come on up anytime. I just joined Port Carling Golf and Country Club last summer, and it's a fantastic track. So I'll have you guys out.
Would love to.
Yeah.
Thanks, guys.
A huge thanks to my boy Gag, Sam Gagner. What a career he's had. We really appreciate him coming on. It was a great talk, and look forward to catching up with him again once he retires. He's probably got a couple more things he can mention to us. But I want to remind everyone that interview was brought to you by Masterworks. Did you know that a Wayne Gretzky rookie card sold for over $1 million? Imagine finding that card in a pack of gum and then selling it for $1 million 30 years later. It's nuts. But there are actually platforms that let you invest in collectibles like that one. Some do trading cards, wine, and even cars. But there's one that's picking up steam like no other, Masterworks. This platform lets you invest in paintings by Warhol, Monet, and Picasso without spending millions. Early investors got a new IRR of 30% in 2020 and 2021 from the sale of 2 paintings. With results like that, no wonder why over 300,000 people have signed up. If you want to join this art investing movement, log on to masterworks.art/chiclets. That's masterworks.art/chiclets. See important disclosures at masterworks.io disclaimer. But check it out, Masterworks. And I want to mention about the Detroit Red Wings and one of the guys we talked to Gags about, Moritz Seider. First thing he did against the Rangers that impressed me was truck stick Chris Kreider. Kreider went to hit him in the corner, and he pretended like he didn't see him coming, and Peter Forsberg style rocked him with a cold shoulder reverse hit. And Kreider's a big boy. You do not see him get hit and tossed around the way Seider did that often. The other thing Seider did this past week is he became the 8th fastest defenseman in the history of the NHL to get 30 assists. He's behind the names of Lidstrom, Larry Murphy. This isn't in order. Mark Howe, Cale Makar, but this guy is a future Norris Trophy winner, Moritz Seider. I love his game, and his past week with the hit and the assist mark really kind of grabbed my attention as his entire season has gone. So, all right, what are we chatting about next?
Also, with that penalty killing clip of him, and this is not a name I bring up, but I couldn't help but think of Bobby Orr, how he went down one end, came back the other, just dragging the puck all over the place, killing a penalty. He's
a Bobby Orr, Cale Makar, Chris Pronger hybrid.
Yeah, it should be a good career.
Yeah, it should be good stuff. Well, next up, your guy's boy, Whit, your boy particularly, Sidney Crosby scored his 500th NHL goal against, who else? The Philadelphia Flyers. He's the 46th player to do so, the 18th guy to do it with one franchise. He scored his most goals off Hank Lundqvist, 24 off of him, 14 off Halak, 12 off Brodeur. The best part maybe of this was Evgeny Malkin, Gino, congratulating himself on fucking Instagram for assisting. It's like shouts, and he tagged himself on Instagram. Absolutely hilarious. And of course, they put the list of everybody who's assisted on Sid's goals. Boy, what were you, number 12?
I think I was number 12 with, was it 17 assists? I had a hilarious chirp come at me via Twitter. The guy said, I wonder how many of those were actually primary assists. My guess is 7, if I were to guess. And then he said, pretty pathetic. I'm kind of paraphrasing. He's like, pretty pathetic to talk about all you did was snap it around tape to tape if all you got was 17 assists.
Yeah, but that's 12th. That means he was used to going back to his guys. I was actually shocked for the short amount of time you played with him that you were still number 12.
Yeah, I was snapping it around to him. And I think that being a part of that power play so we were rookies together. So I was on the power play then, but not always on the first unit. And then I got, say, 2.5 years of just first power play time with Gonchar, Malkin, Crosby, Malone. There was different guys, Bugsy. Sometimes John LeClaire was in front the one year, but I was just collecting the easiest assists of all time. I mean, you shoot on net, Sid buries the rebound. You give it to Gonchar, you pass it to Sid, Sid snipes. It's an easy game playing with him. And the fact that he's done it this way and he got 500, awesome celebration in the crowd. I saw his dad. I think his mom was there. And then Biz, remember Rizzo? I think he works with Pat Brisson. But the same clip when Crosby's rookie year, he scored that amazing winner in the shootout against Montreal. It's on his all-time clips. He went backhand shelf, water bottle goes flying. It was so similar to the picture that night or the video that night of Sid's dad and Rizzo jumping up and down in the stands at the old Mellon Arena. So it's been a wild ride, and to get 500 is pretty special. I mean, he's been a Hall of Famer for 8 years now, I'd say.
Everybody for so many years talked about how he haunted the Washington Capitol franchise, but it was just a distraction because he has haunted the Philadelphia Flyer franchise and all that he's done over time. And then for him to score his 500th, and he waited because I purposely think he waited just to dump on the Flyers in a 2-goal come from behind win against them in OT. So just to take another massive shit on the Philadelphia Flyers when they're at their lows of low, Sid waits to dump on them. And it's honestly like, it's like somebody's writing this story
he had 6 or 7 points against him one night. I remember at home. So he's always just crushed Philly.
Well, Whit, you weren't the only member of the Chiclets family to appear on that list. Boy, Merles had 1 assist on a Crosby goal tied with Matt Murray. And we're going to talk about Merles' comeback. I don't know if you guys, the listeners, have been following on Instagram. You know, this guy's been out of the game for a few years now, and he got the what jonesing for it when we were at the hockey tournament out in Vegas. He, let's see, what's it, playing with, is it Covelands? Is that how you say it, Whit? Covelands in the Division
I don't know.
II?
They're in the second division, which is really the third, because there's the SHL, and then there's the Allsvenska, and then there's another division. I think he's in the fourth, actually.
Okay.
I could be wrong, but before you pump his tires too much, I'll remind everyone, as well as he's playing, RA will give you the stats. This is the type of hockey is. A guy on his team had to leave mid-game last game because he works for the local water company, and there was a house nearby with a big leak. So it's not like this is the highest end pro hockey, but the Merle still has it, and he took a cheap shot in game 2.
Oh, I know he had 1-1 in the first game, had a goal in the second game as well. What cheap shot? Was there video of it, or did he tell you?
I got the video. I'll send it over to you guys. Guy comes flying out of nowhere, jumps, elbows him in the head in the corner. But Merle's hopped right up. He's like, I was in Vegas for 8 days with the Chiclets crew. I don't need this right now.
I got to say, Merle's, he doesn't have the helmet on, the hair's wet, man. Fucking, he's looking good like that. He's a stud, anyways.
Sorry, calm down, buddy.
I'm a big Merle's guy.
Merle's a stud.
Yeah, anytime we could pump Merle's tires, we're gonna do it. But Biz, you got something else going on this weekend. You're a traveling man. What's the latest?
Friday, right before the outdoor game. So I'll be doing TNT Wednesday, and I mentioned that we're staying in studio, so I'm going to spend 5 days there. And we've talked about the Pink Whitney. Oh Jesus, but bring it back, Biz. The Pink Whitney night with the Orlando Solar Bears, that was all part of this like ECHL project we're doing. We're doing a 3-parter. Well, one of which is celebrating Derek Nesbitt's 1,000th pro game. He already accomplished it. Now we're going to just, go celebrate it, make it a special night for him. So I'll be at the Atlanta Gladiators game, $10 tickets. We're going to have a blast. Like, hopefully if you're in the area, you can stop by and celebrate a pretty special night for a guy who helped us during the ECHL player relief fund in that whole situation when the league got shut down due to COVID. Come out. Grinelli's going to be there. Anybody else, G?
No, but we do have tons of fun stuff planned, just like Atlanta. I mean, just like Orlando. Orlando, we had the hot tub, but we got some cool stuff planned for Atlanta as well.
All right, so I'll be opening the doors there with the people handing out what do you give them when they get to the rink? All right,
commemorative pucks. The first 2,000 fans get commemorative pucks. Derek Nesbitt pucks.
Oh fuck! I was only going to say the lineup card. I didn't even know we were doing these pucks. So there you go. I'll be at the front door saying hi. So show up early. Let's get the arena packed and let's have a fun ECHL game, just like we did in Orlando. If it's 3/4 as exciting as Orlando was, I'll be over the moon.
All right, looking forward to it, guys.
Orlando Solar Bears players. I have a check. I'll send it to you when I get back. I'm in Orlando. I should have brought it. I owe those guys my money on the board. So that money's coming to the captain. I think G's got his address.
It was Lindsay Lohan's cousin, the guy who was the captain of the team.
She can pay my fucking board payment.
No, man, she's doing like cameos for $200 now. She's not fucking doing great. She's like robbing boutiques and shit still.
Yeah,
over in the Cayman Islands. But fuck, is he a man missile though? And what was weird is I get there when I was going to go film the first one, and I didn't realize that this guy was cousins with Lindsay Lohan, and G's like, oh my God, I wrote a blog on this guy a couple of years ago. And I'm like, when does G ever write blogs? And what's the chance that he wrote a blog about Lindsay Lohan's cousin? So G, I'll let you take it over. What was the backstory?
Well, it actually sucks because, one, I stopped writing blogs because you told me to stop writing blogs. I love writing blogs. But two, he was in a Domino's Pizza outside Fenway Park when he went and played his PG year at Boston College. He played at Michigan for 4 years. And I just remember seeing it on Channel 5 News, like college hockey player sucker punched at bar. And he just got jumped. He was at a Domino's Pizza and 5 guys got jumped. So when we walked into the place, I was like, I don't mean to be like weird here, but like, did you get jumped by Fenway Park in like 2016? Because I think I might have wrote a blog about you. And he was like, that was me. He was like, that was me. He's like, I got my jaw broken, had to miss the rest of the season.
Jumped him.
Yeah.
It was like a setup because she needed his fucking debit card. No, but I will say after watching the clip from the store, like he gets a complete sucker. Like he was definitely the victim in that situation.
The guy was an MMA fighter too. The guy that got him was a trained fighter.
Fuck, he was probably he looks kind of like Jimmy Garoppolo. This guy is just an absolute man missile. How did we get there? Oh yeah, the ECHL thing. So we'll see you in Atlanta on Friday, February 25th. Thank you guys for listening to this little rundown. And you should do a weekly blog. Write about one topic. Do you do a weekly blog?
Would love to.
What day should it come out on? And my apologies if I ever told you. Okay, Thursday. My apologies if I told you to stop writing blogs. Maybe I
can't monetize them, Biz. You can't make any money off the blog.
Well, I think that maybe your energy is better dispersed other areas. And okay, fine. Let's see. Let's have you like walk the plank if the fans are like, fuck off with the blogs.
I cannot wait until G calls me. He's like, Biz just called me screaming at me, telling me to stop fucking blogging.
I want to see what you're coming out with every Thursday as a blog that's going to fucking move the needle.
All right. Done.
All right.
Get the people talking, G.
What do you think your first topic would be?
Boston Bruins trade rumors, Claude Giroux to the Bruins, JT Miller to the Bruins.
Okay. So
I wasn't thinking that either, Biz.
I'm fucking around. I'm kidding. I'll do something creative. I'll think of something a little witty.
Non-hockey related. Maybe about this Tinder swindler. Should we talk a little about this before we get back to hockey? Because it's kind of fun.
I hadn't seen it yet. I haven't caught up on it. I know you guys have. Everyone's been talking about it. Yeah, I haven't seen much of anything lately other than hockey.
Let's save it to the back end.
Okay,
then, Ray.
We'll put it in the absolutely.
So your back doesn't seize up
in the etc. pile where I have it. Well, the guy we always link with, Sid, Alexander Ovechkin, he notched his 30th goal. It gives him 16 30-goal seasons. It's one behind the record held by Mike Gagner. Ovi's the only player with 16 30-goal seasons with one team. Mike Gagner, you talk about an underrated guy, man. That guy just pumped out goals. Again, 17 years, 30 goals. That's a pretty impressive record. And the guy Ovi passed, Jaromir Jagr, he had 15 of 15 30-goal seasons, and he was in the news this week. He turned 50, and the Czech Republic issued a commemorative banknote for the occasion. I don't know if you can actually use it or not, but basically Jagr on Czech money. And, of course, old story about him and the model came up because it was his 50th birthday. The girl took a selfie while he was sleeping and thought she was going to blackmail him. He's like, I don't give a fuck. Like, I don't have a girlfort. I'm not married. Like,
what a horrible narrative. I'm crushing fucking 19-year-old Rockets and I'm 45 tucking fucking Genos in Fort Lauderdale, getting my ween sucked off my torso at the beach. Yeah. What a terrible. Don't let the headlines be that. You got them.
I can't even follow that up, Biz, but I guess she had a boyfriend or whatever. So the whole fucking thing blew up in her face. Like, she was exposed as a cheater or whatever, trying to blackmail. Yeah.
I got a perfect match for her. The fucking Tinder swindler. Let's get them connected up. They'd have a perfect, long-lasting marriage.
You signed Godfather.
But going back to Ovi, as Whit said, it all doesn't matter because he can't take shootouts. So who gives a shit?
Oh, he's the sauce crosser, though. We got to get him on this show.
No shootouts in the playoffs.
Oh, thank Christ. Drew Doughty's 1,000th game happened a while back, but he hadn't been in L.A., so they had the celebration for it. And honestly, that speech was awesome. A lot of brevity. He just kept it under a minute, and he looks over at Edmonton. What did he say? He's like, sorry, guys, I know it sucks for you guys, but thanks for being here. It was probably under a minute, dude. I think a lot of people should do speeches like that. If you don't have nothing to say, just wrap it up quick. He was hilarious either way.
I think speeches, the shorter the better, usually. I mean, obviously, there's the occasional one where a guy maybe does a best man speech that's 15, 20 minutes long and just crushes it. But if you're not exactly sure of what to say and you're a little nervous about speaking, short, sweet, concise, and roll with it.
How good.
Did I mention I watched recently Matthew McConaughey's commencement speech to the University of Texas? It's on YouTube with millions and millions of views. Amazing. And you can listen to it driving, just get it on YouTube, play it on your phone. Awesome speech. And I mean, that one's a commencement speech is different. I think it was like 45 minutes, but it was so good.
There's a bunch of good ones of people getting asked to go speak at colleges for graduation. Is that a commencement speech? Is that what that's called?
Yes.
Oh, okay. I didn't know the fancy word for it. My apologies. But Ali G, Sacha Baron Cohen has given one. Who else? There's a couple wild cards in there that ended up being absolutely hilarious. What are some?
What do you
I got some breaking news, guys. The Spittin Chiclets Instagram has officially hit 1 million followers.
Oh my God! Let's like do the balloon celebration like the Instagram models and fucking like raise
let's do
stick our ass out like Jen
G
Settler.
Order bottle service for us.
Dom Perignon, baby, bring it on.
Bottles of Dom.
Bring it on.
Sparklers coming out. I could stick out in Disney World with Dom.
You can thank me because I had Grinelli to start running the Instagram more instead of the blog. So,
we memes too. I know memes does both, but you got to give a shout out to our boy memes.
Shout out to memes. He's been crushing social for us. But yeah,
James hammers it.
For us to do this without the NHL letting us post a single NHL highlight is fucking incredible.
Yeah,
this is one of my greatest accomplishments in life is getting the Chiclets Instagram to 1 million followers.
All right, so then I guess we got to get memes a Rolex. That's the only solution. Good job, memes. You're the best, Bellows. What color face you want?
Going back to wedding speeches, sometimes they're out of control. Like, I know it's historically the best man gave one, but sometimes you go and it's like the best man, the maid of honor, like the fucking father or the mother. It's like, you feel like at the United Nations, it's like, dude, I just want to fucking get drunk and eat some cheap chicken here.
One of my sister's friends got up on the mic 4 separate times at her wedding.
Painful.
What? Buddy, it was
that
it
planned,
was,
or was she just
so
like,
it actually helped me out. So no. Like, she was buckled. She was buckled. She was RA Minnesota pre-ice fishing buckled.
Well, the night before ice fishing, because I was just.
Yeah, I know. But he
wasn't drunk.
He was Billy buckled at the sushi place. But listen, I suck at giving them too, so I try to keep them as simple as possible. The last thing I want to do is give a speech. I get so fucking nervous. But it fucking it gave me like a little tee up because I just got on the mic and I was like, guys, some bad news. I'm like, no more booze. I'm like, what's her name? Fucking crushed it all. So and they just gave me a way to break the ice for mine. So she came back running up at me, and my fucking aunt just like straight up Ray Lewis tackled her. Is like, no, you're done. You're not getting on there for the 5th time. So I got to keep it Hal Gill style, off the glass and out, and got out of there. So I guess shout out to her for being a fucking fool and giving me the tee up. But you said it already. There are some ones that are the
painful.
Worst.
Terry
Painful.
Tate, office linebacker, tackled her. I did my buddy Reggie's. I did my buddy Reggie's best man speech. Actually, Folz, who's coming on, he did it as well. He went first. I went. I don't remember who went first. I was so nervous the entire day. The whole day was ruined. Like, the whole. All the guys at the wedding get together during the day. You have drinks. You're getting dressed. Just hang. Like, the whole wedding was beginning. I couldn't enjoy myself till the speech ended. And then my brother Colin and I did our brother Sean's together. It was actually like I said something, he said something. We're up there together. That one made it a little easier, but still nervous as hell. And then when you do give a best man speech at a wedding, the moment when it's done is one of the greatest feelings of all time, because you can just let loose. You can't really go too ham beforehand because you don't want to be this girl that Biz saw. But yeah, speeches are tough. Speeches are very hard, very nerve-wracking. No matter what you do.
First cocktail after doing that. It's like it could be two girls, one
fast
cup
pass at Disney
with vodka, and it would still be good.
I did have 2 speeches at mine. I had 2 best men, so I let each best man say a little something, but they were pretty quick.
I've talked about it before. One of the weddings I was passing out DHMD talk, shocker. I got asked to like help with the intros and shit, and like I fucking hate doing that stuff, and I feel like I was not comfortable up there. The old man, like the Marielle, like my close friend, she's a girl. The father, like you could see him looking at me. He was just like disgusted the fact that I was up there on the mic. So I think that there's going to always be that mutual hatred of the fact that I was forced to do it, and then he was mad at me for bombing.
All right. Moving right along, Biz. There was an article in The Athletic this week. Minnesota, we were just there with Billy G. A lot of people speculating, does Minnesota need to make a trade? The deadline, March 21st. Billy G's been weighing his options. He's worried about breaking up the chemistry because that team is kind of rolling. I know they lost maybe 2 of their last 3, but they've been rolling. He's weary about maybe messing with the chemistry. This is a guy who's been traded twice, and first time he got traded to San Jose, he said it took a long time for him to fit in. He was kind of out of place. When he got traded to Pittsburgh, he fit right in. So he knows that sometimes it doesn't always work out getting a guy. They've been 10-3-1 since the Winter Classic. And also, if they do give up, they have very good assets right now. Minnesota's, I think, 3rd highest rated prospect pool. So he's worried about giving up assets either for a rental or a guy with term, in which case it's going to run into cap situation because of the bio with Parise and Suda. So he's kind of like just kind of wait and see right now. Do you think they need to make a move, Paul?
No, for 2 reasons. You just mentioned the prospect pool, and they're going to need guys making cheap money moving forward with their cap situation with the Parise and the Sutter buyout. And I just don't think now's the time. I don't see even maybe a move putting them in a class of maybe where some of the other teams are. And on the flip side of it, as a GM, you're basically saying, I love the chemistry we have here right now. I don't want to fuck with it. How could any player in that locker room be upset? You've been able to accomplish what you've accomplished so far this season. And I think that they've dealt with some adversity having some guys out of lineup. So once they get everyone healthy, they might be even better than we originally thought in what they've showed us so far. So I don't see a rush. Now, if he doesn't think the prospect pool is big enough where these guys are going to be able to kind of get them to that next level with their cap situation moving forward, yeah, maybe as a GM, knowing everything you kind of just rattled off with his experience in it, you go do maybe and get the Giroux if it doesn't cost you as much as you thought it would, or somebody that can fit in that spot to help him put him over the edge. But I say no. I would say no, don't do it.
Whit, you got an opinion?
So Biz talked about Florida not adding anything and Minnesota similar. I'm down with when you believe you have a team that can win the Stanley Cup, you do something at the deadline. And it could be depth. It could be a backup goaltender, which is, I guess, also considered depth. It could be something that won't really change the team a ton. But I also aren't against going out and grabbing a stud, because when you have a team that you believe can win, very few of those teams aren't missing one little piece. So if you can go change it and you can go add something that you believe that can really put you over the top, I'm on board with that. I look at me and the team in Pittsburgh realizing we need a scoring winger and getting Kunitz and saying, well, there's a younger defenseman. See ya, he's gone. Like, there's teams that always need a little bit more, and I don't believe a team that's worth its salt could let one or two guys change the chemistry that all year has been shown. I think, for example, the Panthers have very strong up the right side. You got Montour, Weegar, Ekblad, and also still on the left you could use help. So I think they go out and get a left defenseman, but there's arguments for both sides.
All right. Obviously, we'll keep our eyes on that. Also, if there was a post that these fans made, there was a preseason meeting. Billy G asked the team, like, what are we here for? And I think it was Spurgeon said, have fun or something. He's like, no, fuck that. This is about fucking winning. So a couple of fans blew up the poster with the quote on it, and Billy G autographed it. Like, fucking pretty cool. I mean, we obviously know Billy, he's a great guy, but it's just a nice little touch that he's signing a post like that. I'm sure some guys wouldn't sign it with the quote on it, but Billy G don't give a fuck. He's a Star Wars guy. Of course, he's good. Some other trade chatter. There's still lots of Claude Giroux to Colorado chatter. He says he hasn't talked to Chuck Fletcher yet about it. He will at some point. It's worth noting he's 11 games from his 1,000th NHL game, and you got to think he wants to do it in orange and black. He's a flyer guy. He doesn't want to get traded and probably have that 1,000th game. I know. Is that something that, as a GM, that would factor in him, like keeping a guy for an extra couple of games to let him get that, or would you trade him before that? Biz, what's your take on that? It's a weird kind of thing,
yeah,
right?
It's just a weird thing. It's just like, if there's no rush, and that's something that everybody was cool with, but behind the scenes, like, I don't think there's a massive rush to do it. My only complaint would be from a trade perspective. If Colorado was ready to pull the trigger right now, and they were kind of adamant on it, because you got to try to work in the chemistry and see the fit. So you need as much runway as possible to see where certain guys are going to be placed, what is his comfort zone, who he should be playing with. So to me, that's why I like the Toffoli move also so early, is you get the time to and there was a lot more things making it more seamless for Tyler Toffoli, in a sense of, like, he knew Lucic, he knew Lewis, he'd played for Darryl, in a situation where Giroux's now stepping out of his comfort zone for the first time in his NHL career. Yeah, get him there as soon as possible. But I would imagine he remains a flyer till the 1,000th game. But I think that it's a smart move for Colorado to just fucking load up. Like, I don't really think another first rounder is going to fucking mean that much. And I don't think that they're going to give up anything that they're going to need this year in order to get the job done. They're not giving. I don't think they're sending Newhook back. I mentioned Bo Byram before everything. I'm just going to take that off the table because I don't even know what's happening with the kid, and maybe that they aren't even prepared to trade him. But I don't know what gets it done.
First rounders for rentals scare the hell out of me. I don't care how much you're trying to get it done. If I'm a GM and a player like Giroux is approaching his 1,000th game, and now I say a player like Giroux, there's not many of them, like the career he's had, captain of the Philadelphia Flyers, certainly one of the all-time greats, I'd say. I mean, and that's a team that has a lot of them, but Claude Giroux's been a fantastic player since he got into the league. Having said all that, if I have a deal in place that I love and he's getting traded this year, I don't give a fuck where he plays his 1,000th game. Because as much as you'd like to see it and the fans would like to see it, it's like, I'm trying to make my team better. This deal's on the table right now. We wait 2 games. He gets hurt. We don't know. This team wants to do it now. I like what we're getting in return. It's like, you're still betting your 1,000th game. That's a right you've earned. You've played that many games. It's not going to be here.
All right, but considering he probably has a no move or no trade, is it essentially in his hands?
Yes, absolutely. He doesn't have to go anywhere he doesn't want to. He can kind of negotiate, not going to negotiate.
I'll be interested to hear if he ends up going. I'll be interested if he does play his 1,000th, if that was one of his requests. I think we'll probably find that out post-career in an interview.
What's the deadline? March 28th?
March 21st.
21st. So, yeah, I mean, it's the 20th right now. Do they have 11 games before the deadline? I mean, have we even looked at that?
Yeah, no, he could get his 1,000th with the Philly, and there's still plenty of time to get traded before.
Okay, the deadline, then I would think that's what goes down, and he ends up being a later towards the deadline deal.
Yeah, G's the man. We got to get him back on at some point. Love chat with him. Another guy whose name's getting thrown out there, Ben Sherratt, defenseman from Montreal. He's in last year of a $3.5 million deal. He's UFA. He just returned to the lineup today. It's basically, I would say, a given that this guy's going to go somewhere. Montreal's having a fire sale. But, again, we'll keep you posted. A bunch of other NHL notes. Feel free to jump in whenever, boys. Evander Kane popped Brendan Lemieux with a Falcon punch. I never even heard that phrase before. Lemieux looked like he got hit with a nuclear missile, went down. The internet had fun with it, a bunch of memes. But Falcon punch, what's the genesis of that biz? I never even heard that before. Heard rabbit punch, but never Falcon.
I have no clue. Memes posted it.
Okay.
Me neither.
Did you never hear it?
Memes might have smoked his dip can by accident. Like, what are you putting in your bowl? A Skol dip can. You can't smoke that. It's metal. Memes.
He might have been smoking crack. He might have been smoking out of fucking a dumpster can. Whatever it may be.
I miss memes. I was up with Muskoka with him. He's a character.
Tough break for him not being able to come to Vegas. I mean, he was supposed to come to Detroit. He had border trouble, and then he had border trouble again for Las Vegas.
Trudeau,
when you're wanted in 4 different provinces, you have border trouble.
Fuck Trudeau. Sorry, I don't mean to get political, but this fucking guy's getting dumped on everywhere.
Oh, he is a piece of shit.
People don't come here to Chiclets to hear our political opinions.
I know. And like I said, I was up there, Biz, like I mentioned before, and it seemed like everybody I talked to was fucking all set with
I think Jeff O'Neill summarized it the best. He goes,
what O-Dog say?
O-Dog today tweeted, he goes, Canada needs a closed-door players-only meeting.
Everyone gets buckled.
Oh, dog, you got away with words, my friend. And I couldn't agree more. Let's just close it, figure it out. Let's go here. Let's get her going here. Let's get on the same page, everyone.
Seriously, man, it's a fucking joke at this point. You guys mentioned earlier, Jamie Benn, he gave a water bottle bukkake to Chicago's Mackenzie Entwistle. That cost him $5,000 just for a little squirt. Now, guys, is that insulting, degrading, just plain disrespectful to fellow NHLers? Like, how would you describe getting a fucking water bottle squirt in your face?
Not the 5K for that. I thought it was a lot.
What is?
I loved getting squirted on.
Oh yeah, well, just ask permission first. 5K. I don't know if it's a maximum for what he did. It's kind of hilarious, but I don't know if you're a player, dude, and that's a clip. I don't know. You probably feel like you're just fucking getting shit on. No.
Okay, I'll say this. Back before the lockout, this is the 05 lockout or 04, whatever it was. The entire NHL wore these big, like, wool socks, and there'd be times that you'd be standing, like, in front of the opposing team's bench in a neutral zone face-off, and somebody from the bench would just completely drench your calves.
Yeah, they would drench
I don't really
the peasants.
have calves.
It's like me.
What?
They would drench the peasants. Like, there's numerous times, like, all the stars would always just drench the pigeons. You got it too?
Oh, yeah. I think everyone got it. I mean, yeah, maybe the stars didn't, but I would much rather catch a water bottle to the face water than I would getting sprayed with the old wool socks, which are then completely soaking wet the rest of the period and basically added about a pound to your body weight.
Yeah.
So I'd rather take it there than the old school way. With the new age socks after the lockout. Actually, Biz, do you remember after the lockout how the jerseys they made like they were sweat resistant?
Well, I'll say for like a fashion standpoint and like having throwback jerseys, I like the old ones, but to wear and how heavy everything got when it was wet, like you said, the socks, like I wore graphs too. So if somebody did that to me, I was basically wearing ankle weights the rest of the game. Like that's probably why I couldn't even fucking move towards the end of my career. But yeah, I guess it wouldn't bother me as much anymore. Now, RA, I got to shift the conversation. Have you ever let a woman squirt in your face?
Or made her?
I would be down for it. Pre-marriage, obviously. I don't think I ever encountered a squirt in all my wild days before I settled down. Had a lot of fun, ran around a bit, but an actual squirter, I've heard about them, but no, it never happened. But I'd be whatever happens. Once you're in the bedroom, everything goes. I wouldn't mind, if I got a little golden Niagara Falls shower, so be it, whatever.
There was this girl in Vancouver, the guys group referred to as a super soaker, and she had a 1-bedroom apartment, but she had that what do you call those beds that swing down in the living room?
Murphy bed.
She had a Murphy bed in her living room, and it was the super soaker bed.
Had to ring it out.
The original water bed that RA's buddies had in college.
No, it's funny. Why have you? I don't know if you want to answer. Encountered a leak like that before, Biz?
Biz's next career is going to be a podcast just for the women who squirted on his face throughout his run in the NHL.
Legit squirted. Squirter, like you see. It looks like a fire hydrant.
Listen, I don't talk about the crazy days anymore. I was just asking. Like, obviously, I think that like anybody who's grown up at one point has experienced a squirter. Yeah.
No. Yeah. I'm surprised they didn't. I know. Yeah. I've heard of like multi-orgasmic.
Yeah, it kind of got me going. I mean, it makes you feel like you're actually doing something. You get some just like girls eat up the likes on Instagram when they post a picture. Like, it's nice to know you did your job as a guy and you got to see a little bit of a reward at the end.
No, absolutely. You don't want to be a selfish lover. That was always my thing. Don't just you want good reviews after. Like, don't be a one and done.
Well, I've been there too, buddy.
We all have, but
that's why we got Roman. But yeah, I mean, but there's been some where like you like legit, you just like touch it and then it's like,
yeah. Well, then it's like you just play it like, oh, that's the ultimate compliment. Like, oh, you're so hot, I couldn't help it.
Yeah, but then next thing you know, you're getting a call from the fucking fire department because the neighbor is getting a leak in their roof. But yeah, no, okay.
Why Merle's teammate had to leave the game, Biz?
Oh yeah, yeah. Way to bring it back. Yeah.
Oh my fucking. This show's the best.
So what do you get? Ching $5,000 for it?
Yeah, $5,000, which whatever. I mean, I don't know if he's ever encountered a squirter before then, but yeah, $5,000 for a water bottle. It sounds like it happens a lot off camera from what you guys just said. Like, I guess they can't.
I think they felt bad for the kid because I think he got dummied into the wall right before that, so he had a bit of a tough shift, and then he got pigeon tossed by Jamie Benn, the anti-squirter.
All right, let you handle that joke this time. Gary Bettman upholded Brad Marchand's 6-game suspension. He can appeal it to an independent arbitrator if he wants. I kind of hope he does, just to be Marchand. For my guy, Frank Saravalli, when Marchand testified, he said that Jerry said to him, how about that fucking save? And honestly, I would have thought it would have been something more that would have set Marchand off, especially when you talk about his quote back from when he gave shit to Panarin. He's like, if that's going to set a guy off, then this league's the softest league in the world. So it's like, I would have thought Jerry said something much more like harsh than that to set Marchand off. So it's kind of contradicting himself. I love Marshy, but
which makes it even more funny that he punched him in the face and it should have been a 2-minute minor. Like, it's just like, this is fucking awesome.
Everybody went, oh, he punched the goalie. It's like, big fucking deal. What Krug did to Bunting, dude, like, no one said, oh, he should be suspended for that. It's the NHL, dude. People get fucking punched in the face.
I love this just Jari guy. I mean, he's a fucking character. I kind of want to get him on the pod now too. Maybe they shouldn't trade for Flower.
Well, we're talking Bruins here. We'll finish that up in a second before we get to our buddy Fairway Folz. But interesting quote from Bruce Cassidy, Biz. It came out, I think, last night. He called out the team for being too nice. I know the fans have been shitting on him for basically being soft. I mean, we're used to Bruins hockey here. He said, we have a lot of nice guys on our team. We need to be more like bricks. You know, you usually don't
I said it weeks ago. I said they need to add some toughness. It's embarrassing, especially for like a Bruins team that has always been like, that's been their MO. Yeah. Like, to me, that's the biggest difference right now. Like, the Bruins are a type of team where they get good goaltending and they're going to beat you 3-2 because they play smart hockey and they were disciplined. And if they make a mistake and they take a penalty, their penalty comes up big because they got that defenseman who's going to block the shot. And like, they ain't going to fucking run you up and down the ice like Florida does or like Toronto does, right? They play a certain style and they've fucking lost their way.
And exactly, like we've seen that Sean hit from Watson, and nobody like did nothing. Like nobody, you know what I mean? Like nobody.
It's a fucking joke.
Skated over to him. It's
my
like,
opinion for Bruins hockey. Yes, it's a joke. And if I was a fan, that would be my only complaint right now. Is start mucking it up a little bit more. Trent Frederick, he was kind of in and out of the lineup at the start of the season. Has he been more consistent lately?
Yeah, they have him on the third line. With Foligno and I'm not sure if it's Smitty lately. He's been up and down, but he's been having a consistent role in the team. He's never going to be a sniper, but he's been on the third line lately. And yeah, he's a guy that I think they might accept. I think
DeBrusk needs to be more of that guy. Be like, and you guys are gonna be like, oh, they fucking shut the fuck up about this Bunting guy. Drag your team into the fight. Drag the emotion out of them through the dog days of the season, like the Matthew Tkachuks, the Corey Perrys, the Patty Maroons, like the other night we talked about a regular season game, first game back. Florida hasn't played in 2 fucking weeks. All it fucking took was one of their guys getting bumped from behind to be like, this is going to be a full-fledged fucking gladiator match. More of that. That's their fucking Bruins MO. So I'll leave it at that. I said it a couple of weeks ago. I wasn't fucking kidding. And then there you go. Their head coach is now saying it. So I'll pat myself on the back for that one.
Yeah, it shouldn't all fall on Mashi to mix it up. But anyways, time to bring on Folz. We do want to let you know that this interview is brought to you by Mattress Firm. America has a problem. Everyone is exhausted and out of it because they're not sleeping in a bed that's right for them. And the sleep they're getting sucks. And this problem has a name, junk sleep. You can unjunk your sleep at Mattress Firm's President's Day sale from now until March 8th. Save up to $500 when you get a king bed for the price of a queen or a queen for the price of a twin. Stop by one of their locations. Beds are starting at $159.99 with immediate delivery. Or save $300 when you shop Tempur-Pedic. America's #1 Tempur-Pedic retailer is Mattress Firm. Again, to unjunk your sleep, go to mattressfirm.com or go to a Mattress Firm store today and speak with the sleep expert. Like I said, I used them recently in Boston here. Awesome experience. The service was fantastic. The mattress came. The delivery was awesome. So no BS. Check them out if you're in the market for a new mattress. And now we're going to send it over to Fairway Folz.
And folks, now we welcome a man it's a long time coming. He should have been on this show a long time ago, but the time has finally arrived. And if you ask why, or if you ask who, I'll tell you who it is. It's Fairway Folz, Foley, one of the top pranksters in NHL history, and he never sniffed an NHL game. One of my best friends, a true piece of trash. And he's here to defend the honor of Tim Thomas, who, I'll say this, was a hell of a goalie, but Foley only likes him because he sprawled around and looked insane, making all these ridiculous saves, because that's exactly how Foley looked when he played sports. No athleticism in this guy, a pea for a brain, but we'll let him speak. Go ahead, Fairway.
Oh, I'm getting the floor first? All right. So this whole debate has started because Whit took the floor last week on this very same stage, started going off about Tuukka, having a pity party for himself about Tuukka. About, oh my God, he's not respected enough, blah, 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 like all this bullshit. And then he starts going into me and Rugo, fucking, we're idiots, all this. Rugo's
clowns, I think I said.
Rugo's got an Ivy League degree. He's no idiot. You got a GED from fucking Michigan High. Okay? So that's when I perked up. I'm like, oh, he's calling me and Rugo idiots, huh? On his own little fucking show, fucking no one there to bark back at him. Morty Seinfeld down Florida till mid-March. Okay, so, and let me clarify too, because this is legit. This debate isn't about Tuukka sucking at all. Tuukka's fucking awesome. Okay?
You've always dogged Tuukka, Folz. You've always dogged him.
Let me talk. Would you
Go
just
ahead.
sit back with your sunglasses on inside? Okay. So this is not about Tuukka sucking at all. I've never always dogged him. That's bullshit. Okay. I've always been, listen, Bruins, baby.
You've had that hoodie since 2007. You've never taken it off either.
Okay.
Wash it one time.
It's about his place in Bruins history. And you just mowing down Bruins history, being like, he's the best of all time. And it's like Tim Thomas. I got to make the case for him that he's the guy. We can't just like dismiss what he did while he was here. Now, like, look at their careers. They are distinctly different. I get it. But they are with the same core of guys from the Bruins, kind of. It was kind of a handoff of Thomas to Rask in the goalie department. And just look at Thomas's career, his numbers. I know, like, people like to look at Rask's numbers and be like, he was phenomenal. He was. Thomas's numbers are no slouch.
Well,
he won
yeah, I know.
He won 2 Vezinas. He won the Cup. Not only did he win the Cup, he was the MVP of the Cup. He was the first goalie. He was the first guy to win Vezina and Conn Smythe in 35 years. No other goalie had done it. Hasek, Brodeur, Osgood.
Osgood was your third one there?
I don't know. Roy.
Patrick.
I was just thinking of Stanley Cup winners. You shithead. All right. So, but the only guy to do that before that was Bernie Parent in 1975 with the Philly Flyers.
You said Bernie Parent?
Yeah, just like your parents, Bernie Parent. He was a hell of a player.
Bernie Parent.
He's in the Hall of Fame, dude.
Yeah, Parent.
Yeah, you bowed out after like 3 years because of a bum ankle.
Yeah, and God knows if that ankle stayed healthy, I'd be in the Hall of Fame with Bernie Parent, dude.
But if you just like compare their 2 careers, you have Thomas, 2 Vezinas, Tuukka had 1. You have Thomas that led the Bruins to the Cup. Conn Smythe, he, like 2011, he had more couch pops for me than fucking.
Like, I mean, you don't get off the couch much either.
How much weight are you emphasizing on the fact that Game 7 went his way? Because I wouldn't put the Game 7 against St. Louis on Rask either. And I think Whit's point is ultimately it's all about providing those exact numbers, if not better, because Rask had slightly better numbers for a longer sustainable amount of time. Is that kind of your argument, Whit?
It's longevity, Foles. It's longevity. And I actually think you make a great argument. It is a good argument in the fact that they both were unreal. And the Stanley Cup will weigh that heavy for so many people in saying Tim Thomas is the greatest Bruins goalie ever. That way you could probably go into Jerry Cheevers if you're just going to go cups. I just more think the 11 team that won it, first off, was a way better team than 13 or 19. So he had a better team in front of them. And the Game 7 against the Blues, Biz said it. I think Rask played great. I mean, it wasn't on him. It was an amazing effort to get there. The 13 run against the Blackhawks, he was unreal. There was nothing he could have done different in that one. So the way Thomas played and him winning the cup, even though Tuukka still has a cup ring, he's on the team. He didn't play any games in the playoffs, but it's like to do it for 14 years or whatever it was compared to 6.5. For me, it's like I just look at Tuukka as a more successful Boston Bruin. I know he didn't win the cup as a starter, but he was there for a long time, being a top 5 goalie every single year.
And Folz, let me ask you this: what are the things that you hold against Tuukka? Like, what did you make of the bubble situation? What do you make?
Well, he was all over him for that.
Shut the
False. Were you not all over him for that? And you brought up the Olympics too. You get on his like off ice, where is he type soapbox rants, False.
All right, can I explain myself?
Yeah, fuck yeah, we're waiting.
Yeah,
baby.
as you think of what to say, go ahead.
Yeah, he was just checking out Tuukka Rask's tracking device.
Yeah.
He's got to find my phone on his ankle.
Listen, I'm not going to touch him leaving the bubble. In hindsight, like this stuff has been horrible on everybody. Like, you can't fault him. Even if it was just because he didn't like fucking being there, who gives a shit? Like, this stuff sucks. And that playoff wasn't really real. Just like the others, like, that were in the bubbles and, like, whatever. That was just to, like, check a box for some people in the league headquarters. But the other stuff is legit. Like, when you measure a player's, like, listen, we're not, I'm going back to this. Tuukka's always going to be loved in Boston. He's not going to be hated or booed or anything like that. Even the people that you guys think are haters or whatever are not like, he was horrible for us. He was great for a very long period of time. No doubt about it. Okay. But there are some hiccups in his career that you can say, like, man, if he did that, he would be number one. My argument with Thomas is his 2011 season and playoff just kind of, like, elevated him from probably, like, number 4 on the list of Bruins to number 1. Like, he put they won the cup. That's why you play. And he was the MVP and the Vezina all in that season. I know people like to say he was a flash in the pan, but he played 8 seasons for the Bruins. One in the middle there was a lockout. You greedy players needed a little more money. Just kidding.
You would blame the play. Hey, is it true? You know, people should know at home. Foley showed already this old brown Bruins hoodie that the kid wears everywhere. So people may not know. Fairway Folz is a hero. He was a dispatcher on a 911 call, and he provided information how to save somebody's life while not being on the scene. So the Boston Celtics, they honored Folz as a hero amongst us. Do you know what he wore at center fucking court?
A mohawk?
He wore that goddamn hoodie with sweatpants.
Page out of my book.
RA and Folz have the same exact wardrobe. It's insane. And also, I'll say this about Tuukka Rask. Folz and I, one of our closest friends, Kenny, the Rocket, Reggie Roach. I played at BU with him. Folz played high school with him. He was crippled one night at Howl on the Moon, a bar in Boston, waffled, asleep, done. And all of a sudden, what do they call those? An angel just appears and picks him up and helps him and brings him over to a table and gives him some more beers, even though he probably didn't need him, and took care of him. Tuukka Rask did that because he skated with him one time at Rockland Rink and he knew who he was. That's the type of guy Tuukka Rask was. Tim Thomas probably would have pissed on Reggie as he was sitting in the corner.
Bullshit.
He probably would have kicked Reggie to the curb.
No, he probably would have taught Kenny a couple lessons. Okay. But like, hey, this is how you can avoid this situation going forward. Don't put yourself here. That's what would have happened.
I think you made a very good argument, and I think that probably half of Bruin fans will side with you. Now, a good segue for you into our show were some of these pranks that you would do to NHL guys behind the scenes. Like, I would imagine you've been doing this your whole life, and are there like other ones that you've pulled off that you can share with us that are just out of this world?
You guys, actually, kind of a funny backstory to that. The prank story that you guys ran, and I'll give Whit credit. You did an incredible job telling the story of Achari signing with the Panthers with Keith. And I remember I was at the golf course that day, and Keith like joined us on like the third hole or something, and he kind of gave me the like, hey, we got a shout out on Chiclets today. Like, I had no clue like anything, and I'm like, what? Next thing you know, my Twitter followers went up like fucking 900 people. I'm like, oh, something happened. But that was pretty funny. But the like looking back at past pranks and stuff, I think probably the best one was Whit when we drove home from Pittsburgh and we were calling people with the fake Red Sox tickets.
Oh, yeah. Have I told that one on here?
I don't know. Let's hear it again, though.
So Folz came out to visit at the end of the year, and then we were driving home. Yeah, with Reggie. He fell asleep outside on that one, too, on that trip. But we were driving home, and all of a sudden we said, all right, we got to start getting people. Folz and I were in the front seat. And the old car I had, it just had a phone that, like, the number registered the car was random. Nobody had it. So we'd take turns going back and forth, and we'd call all these people. We must have called 100 people. We'd say, Rick? Be like, yeah. Be like,
we were Kiss 108.
Yeah, this is Tim Wambach from Kiss 108. Congratulations. And people are like, who? Tim Wambach from Kiss 108. They say, like, what did I win? Well, you won 4 free tickets to the Boston Bruins New York Yankees game August 18th at Fenway Park. Like, I didn't even sign up. I didn't even sign up for this. It's like, well,
Bruins versus Yankees would be a good game.
So all of a sudden, these people believe it. Like, but listen, we need one thing. When you get off, talk to our producer. We'll get your name, your info. We'll get those tickets out to you. But we need one thing. We need you to remind us all that Kiss 108's the best music in Boston. Now say it for us. And sure enough, every time they'd be like, Kiss 108's the best music in Boston, we'd say, come on, we need one more.
No, you got to give it to us. You got to give it
to us. And these people we knew would be yelling into the phone, you're listening to Kiss 108, the best music in Boston. So Folz was the master at that. But Folz and I, we go way back.
Hold on. Let's go back to the Thomas Tuukka thing.
Okay. Hey, I got one thing to chime in on.
A quick segue.
I got one thing to chime in on.
Very quick segue.
I got one thing to chime in on. Jeff Jacobson, one of my close buddies, and he obviously helps out behind the scenes with the podcast. He would always do these things when we'd be all together late at night, and he would get on Craigslist, and we would see who he could call and who he could talk to and how interesting he could make the conversation, where he'd be calling people at 2:30 in the morning on a landline to talk about these frames that they were selling on Craigslist. And next thing you know, he was bartering and potentially selling his used car to them for 20 other things they might have in their house. So this thing could go any which way off the rails. So these types of random combos and buddies who can riff on them are absolute comedic geniuses.
So a friend of mine, assistant coach at a local high school here, he played high school hockey, played a little bit of college. So he's the assistant coach in charge of the goalie's defense. And he makes a change like mid-season on the goalie. Like, we're going to go with the sophomore, not the junior anymore. Like, that kid's the guy. And I don't know the specifics, but the gist of the story is beautiful. So the junior guy that gets benched, his father's like bullshit about it. So he takes pictures of the coach's car in the parking lot, puts them up on Craigslist for like a ridiculously low price while their next game's going on, and his phone is ringing off the hook for his Ford Bronco getting sold. To the extent that he had to like excuse himself from the bench to be like, what the hell is going on with my, like, who's calling me and stuff, and he didn't know what was going on.
Holy fuck. I think isn't there a story about the same thing about like a cruise or like a free trip or something, and then they post the stuff. Anyway, we can move on from this. We can talk about your stupid Tuukka take.
Like, honestly, like, it's not stupid. It's legit.
You know what? I agree with that full. It's an open-ended argument. It's not. I wrote Tuukka was the best ever statistically. He's got the most Bruins wins. He got him to 2 Stanley Cups. But you look at the stats. Thomas is definitely the more decorated goalie. The Vezinas, he won the cup, and ironically, they have the exact same save percentage as Bruins, 9-2-1. Thomas's save percentage in the playoffs, 9.33, beats Rask. I mean, Thomas is number one save percentage of all time. So you can argue either case. Full. I think in Boston, I think it's a very vocal minority here that is anti-Tuukka. I think it was fueled by 98.5. You know, Maserati and Felger, they hated him. I think a lot of people bought into that. I think the majority of Bruins fans, the overwhelming majority of Bruins fans, appreciate Tuukka, realize how good he was. And like this, at Game 7, that first goal, I went and watched the highlights. That first goal was a tip, 3 feet in front of him, 5 feet in front of him. It's tough to save, nothing to do. The second one was one of the worst 2 line changes in Bruins history that, you know, fucking he get left hung out to dry. Team couldn't score. Bennington was outstanding. I just don't think he was at fault. And even Game 6 versus Chicago, man, Claude never called a timeout. He should have called it after Chicago tied the game. Guys are wide open. It was just shitty circumstances, and I think he was the victim of bad luck more than anything. And then he shit his pants or he's going to leave the game. It's like, well, the guy was going to shit his pants. He said, I can't play. I don't want to shit my pants on the ice. And, you know, whatever, 15 years of playing, it happened once. And then he left the bubble because his kid was having medical issues. So I just think there's a valid reason to counter all the bullshit that people put out there. But I will say there's no wrong answer, I guess is my point.
So I think what the Bruins should do is they should do a collab statue and jersey retirement night where like kind of like the split jersey full.
I think they each deserve their own respective night. I think they each contributed a lot to the team. Like, I don't think it's anything like what Tuukka did for the team is nothing to be ashamed of. Like, the only thing about it is the guy before him was so, like I already said, it was so decorated. Like, he won 2 Vezinas. Tuukka won 1. He won an MVP of the playoffs. Tuukka never got that honor. And I get it. Like, you know, like a bounce goes here or there, and all of a sudden Tuukka's MVP of the 2019 playoffs. Like,
do you think they retired Tuukka's number?
That's kind of the difference of being 1 and 2. Sorry, Whit.
Do you think they retired Tuukka's number?
Yeah. I think it's deserving. The only thing that makes me reserved about it is the Bruins have been a little bit conservative on retiring numbers. Like, they haven't retired Jerry Cheever's number.
I know.
He's in the Hall of Fame and has won 2 Stanley Cups.
That's an odd scenario. A Hall of Famer and Cup-winning goalie, like, to not.
But Terry O'Reilly's in. Terry O'Reilly's number's up.
That's Boston fans. That's why I actually think the case for Thomas being the best goalie ever is legit for the Bruins. I do think the way that he played and how it looked like there was so much more effort going in than Tuukka's perfect positioning, relaxing, making it look easy style. I think fans genuinely side more to the guy like Thomas, the way he played.
I get you. Like, yeah, because you resonate with it. It's more blue collar. It's not like the prototype. Like, it's
street hockey style. He was like a street hockey goalie for the NHL, right. And that's not a diss. Like, Dominic Hasek was the same way too.
Yeah,
exactly. He was like a poor man's Dominic Hasek, who was on a good team that he was able to win championships with.
Folz, we were talking before about when we first met. I thought I was still single when we met, but you're saying it was after I went to Detroit and drank out of the cup and what was down the other hallway.
Maybe it was before that, but I do distinctly remember you like taking out your phone and being like, "Yeah, look at me in the Detroit," and I was like blown away. I'm like, "You in the locker room?"
Yeah, and then I got pigeon tossed, almost beat up by Chelio. So it was a pretty wild night. And almost
I love
arrested,
the first
too.
time you met him, he's telling you about him in the locker room with the cup within 10 minutes.
Well, I mean, it's pretty notable.
Yeah, humble brag. Second time I did it.
Well, Folz, you did a good job. I appreciate you coming on. You've turned out pretty good for a guy who in college ate chocolate-covered frosted donuts every single morning for breakfast.
That's bullshit.
According to Brian Yandel, a guy who played, went to UNH as a football player, ended up a hockey player, kicked out of his only game in Maine with 45 penalty minutes, but a great guy nonetheless, and a Tim Thomas diehard. So we thank you.
Well, I'll leave with this, with like Tuukka stuff, is he'll always be like Tuukka Rask will always be loved in Boston. Like I know last year there was like some people interpreted as hate, but like you kind of realize like, man, he's not the same Tuukka. And turned out he had a hip injury. Like, and everyone's like, oh, he's still elite. He's still elite. It's like, well, he doesn't look elite. Like, and it turned out he had a hip injury. Like, so we get that. Like, it's not like people hated him, and he's kind of like a Drew Bledsoe of New England. Like, every time Drew Bledsoe goes into Foxborough, he's cheered. He's like, you know.
It's an interesting comparison.
So
not too bad there, Folz. Solid ending for you. And
when you call me an idiot to a million people, and you go on your little rant, of course I'm going to come back. Yeah.
Rugo will really appreciate that Ivy League degree thing. He really deserved that. So shout out to Brown for letting
He
Rugo
probably
graduate.
had some rocket launcher doing his homework like Ryan Lannon was. Remember when we had him on and he was saying that, speaking of Craigslist, I think that's where he met that lady. Just fucking sucking the dick off his torso and writing his papers. What a gig he had. And got a Harvard degree out of it.
Tough life.
I want that program.
Oh,
I'll do that for my high school diploma, for fuck's sakes.
Thought you did.
No, I don't know what my mom wrote my essays and shit, but none of that other stuff was going on.
All right,
oh
Folz.
God, that was
later, buddy.
Well, great to see you guys.
Yeah, see you, Folz. Thanks for coming on.
Yeah, Folz.
Thank you very much to my boy Foley, Fairway Folz. Follow this guy on Instagram. Biz, what did you think about the argument? I mean, what did you think about lawyer Brian Foley giving his argument for Tim Thomas?
I think that part of the reason we brought him on was because he was shitting on Rask. And then all of a sudden you get on the podcast and then you're not talking as tough as you were on Twitter. What's the saying? Twitter fingers turn to trigger fingers. Isn't that what they say in the rap or Meek Mill song?
He's been hard on Tuukka, but today he said he's not, he really appreciates him. It was a little different tune than I've known him to come forward before and talking about the Bruins goalie.
So he's not an actual lawyer, is he?
I mean, he was backpedaling like Rodney Harrison there. Yeah, Biz. I thought for a guy who went to law school, I was expecting him to look like Ani Becker from LA Law, and I don't think he defended his point all that great, but yeah, I thought
I think he should turn into an actual prankster. Maybe he could join that show because then they lose a guy. The Impractical Jokers, he should just be the new fill-in guy for that as opposed to being an actual lawyer. Because if that's how somebody spoke to me in a court of law and I was the judge, I would Judge Judy laugh in his face him off stage. So that's what I thought of his first appearance on Chiclets. But nonetheless, a great guy for pranks and a great guy to go on the golf course with because he kind of records all the comedy and has funny captions on Instagram with.
Oh, yeah, it's great. And I'll say I dogged his sweatshirt that he's been wearing 5 days a week since 2009. We got to get him some Peter Millar, guys. And if you're golfing, even if you're not a golfer, Peter Millar is the way to go. At this time of year, it brings unpredictable weather, whether you're in Florida, it can get rainy, windy. And with that weather comes the need for versatile outerwear to protect you from all the elements. And that's why our friends at Peter Millar have created standout performance layers specifically designed for warmth, comfort, and mobility. This season, it's all about their Flex Adapt line. These pieces feature some of the most flexible performance fabric that they've ever developed. The technology in this fabric allows for incredible breathability when you're moving around and blocks wind when you're standing still. Whether you're heading to town or layering up for your next round, do it in style with Peter Millar Performance Outerwear. Head over to petermillar.com/chiclets to explore the Flex Adapt series, as well as the complete Peter Millar outerwear line. Be sure to use the code Chiclets to receive complimentary shipping. Head over right now to petermillar.com/chiclets. Get involved and use the code Chiclets to receive the complimentary shipping. And let's get Folz fitted in some different gear than his hoodie. So
they sent me a golf bag too. It's unreal. It's very small and compact. Nice. So I put the Pink Whitney golf bag on the shelf just for the Peter Millar. So there you go. Right. That doesn't tell you how good these products are, folks. Not only the clothes, but as far as Folz go, I mean, disappointment. And do you think he could be invited to a sandbagger? Like, would he be a funny guest throughout an hour-long sandbagger?
Yes, he would. He would be very funny.
Who would you put as his guest?
Oh, maybe Ned. Ned's been on the show. That's two of my buddies who've been on the show before. I mean, we'd wax them too, I think, though. But we could even get Folz doing a little announcing, Merle style. Merle and Foley go way back. We'll see what the future
is. Is he kind of the punching bag of the crew of all your buddies, or is there like another guy who?
No, he does a lot of the punching.
Yeah. I was gonna say he's like the Mike Tyson of the crew with the punching.
Is he a member of the trash can golf team?
Team trash. He's team trash. Oh yeah, he's a champion with myself.
Is he a big? Is he a huge morale guy on these trips? Is he like the top morale guy?
Yeah, he expects a lot out of himself on the course, though. He's a leader. He's a leader on that team, no doubt.
What about like in the fun festivities, though? Because there's always the balance, right?
You're always buckled. He's an early sleeper. He's one of those guys. He needs his hours, right? Folz isn't going to be up at 2 a.m. having darts, still listening to Big.
Oh no, I like that.
He can sleep around 11, 11:30, 12ish. He knows his role. He gets up. He needs to have breakfast. Some guys grab like a Gatorade power bar or even a Red Bull and vodka to start the round on these golf trips. He's sitting down. He's getting a Belgian waffle. He's getting an omelet. He's getting a bagel, and he's filling himself up. And then he's got to get a big shit in before his round. Then he goes out there and stripes it, though.
Okay. All right. So potential sandbagger guest with his pre-golf routine.
What's the location of the next sandbagger? Do we know officially? Or what state even? Okay. Because
we have one more in the bank, and we have Joe Watson, former Flyers legend. I believe he's in the Ring of Honor too, isn't he?
Yes.
And then the klutz, Fridge, Todd Fedoruk. This guy is something else, but he can stripe a ball. So that's our last one that's in the bank. So we don't know when we're going to be recording our next one. Whit, when do you think that you will be ready to compete again?
Will be good to play. Give me, after that round yesterday, February 20th, Give me a month. Give me a month. March 20th. I'm March 21st and on. I'm good to go.
There you have it, folks. Back in the saddle, and maybe potential round between us and Folz and Nettie.
Yep, I love it.
I think I may have to make my debut on one of these. Not golfing, just come out and just be a fucking goon for 18 holes. Like the last one was so funny. I was like, I wish I was there hearing Teddy and Goma doing.
Yeah,
this.
but we do these like at like from like 12 to 4, so you're still sleeping.
I'm a night owl. I was a bartender.
Oh, we know,
buddy. You think, dude?
Yeah.
Starting movies at 2:45 a.m.
Other than your eyes are still completely closed at those times, but you're somehow still functioning.
Yeah.
So
you get it done. I have non-traditional hours, Paul.
Yeah.
All right, we got some news points to get to. If you guys want to chime in, jump right in. But your boy Doug Armstrong became the 25th GM in NHL history to record 500 wins with a single team. He also gave money to you goons for a couple weeks to eat and run around St. Louis. So
PTO money. No, what's that called? Not PTO money.
Per diem.
Per diem. Jesus Christ. Whit. I gave the per diem to the trainers.
That's good stuff.
I sold them my Abercrombie and then kept the per diem. No, I greased them a little bit. I always take care of the boys. Maybe not as much as the Whit dog.
No, I don't even know if I did.
Congratulations to him. Borowitzki signed a deal. Congrats to him. I'm not going to say anything bad because he'd fucking speed bag me, that tough son of a bitch.
He does look like a mean motherfucker.
Oh, yeah.
1 year, $900,000 for next season. This is a good story. The Hamburglar, Andrew Hammond, he made his first start in almost 4 years for the Montreal today. This guy back in 2015, he went 21-2 with the 179 goals against, a 941 save percentage, 3 shutouts. He's our Senators rookie. They were 14 points out of the playoffs on February 10th. He went on that fucking heater, got him in the playoffs. They went to the Eastern Conference Finals. So Ottawa legend, but pretty cool to see him, kind of bounce around and get a major league start today.
That's like a flash in the pan, just like Tim Thomas. Same fucking thing.
Ooh.
There you go, Folz.
Yeah.
Flash in the pan.
He got free McDonald's for life. That's legit.
Oh, yeah.
Oh my God, that's incredible! Is that like a card that comes?
Yeah. Leonard talked about it after when we were joking around on the podcast when he's like, "Yeah, I wasn't playing very well," and then all of a sudden, like, this guy steps in, takes my job, and then I fucking love fast food, and then all of a sudden he's got a lifetime supply of McDonald's. So he's like, "Yeah, things weren't going so great."
Hammond, by the way, got the W today. Stopped 30 or 32 shots as the Canadians won in a shootout. So shout out once again to the Hamburglar. Montreal also hired Vinny Lecavalier and Nick Bobrov to join their front office. Lecavalier is going to be a special advisor to hockey operations. Bobrov is going to be co-director of amateur scouting. The Ducks parted ways with assistant GM Dave Nonis. He was in the last year of his deal. Instead of staying for the rest of the year, I guess they let him go now so he can look for a gig elsewhere. He's been around for a long time, so probably shouldn't have a hard time finding a job. Legendary Rangers coach and GM and also Hockey Hall of Famer Emile Francis passed away at 95 years old. So we'd like to extend our sympathies to his family, his friends, and the Rangers family. Of course, he's a legend in the team history, and sad to hear that news. So, again, we want to pass our condolences along.
I saw a great article on NHL.com about Scarborough, Ontario, and all the black NHL players who've come from there. And it's crazy. You got the Stewart brothers, you got Kevin Weeks, Anson Carter, Joel Ward, Wayne Simmons, Devontae Smith-Pelly. What a cool story. I didn't know how many guys were actually from Scarborough. And it's a pretty cool read by, who wrote this right here? Mike Zeisberger. So check that out on NHL.com. Crazy to think those guys are all from the same neighborhood.
Geez, I didn't know that either. Yeah, Zeisberger. He's a great hockey reporter. Been around for a long time. Let's see. Did you see this clip of Bruce Boudreau talking about his top 5 wrestlers? He lit up like a Christmas tree when they asked him this. Like, we've known he's a WWF guy, but he had 2 Canadians and who else did he have in there? The Rock, Steve Austin, and some old timer. Biz, were you?
I don't remember the old timer, but he said both the Harts, right? Brett and Owen Hart.
He had a couple of Canadians to start off. Yeah.
But aren't they Canadian? The Harts?
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying. He was like, I'm going to go all Canadian. Then he named 2 and then went with like 3 other guys. But Biz, were you a big WWF, WWE guy back in the day or no?
Yeah, I got maybe during there was different eras of wrestling, like the kind of like the OG era. And then like, I think that once like Hulkamania and that period of time, Andre the Giant, like that was kind of just at a different level. I would probably say the Stone Cold era was the best era of
That's
wrestling.
when I was in it a little bit, like 98, 99-ish, right around then, maybe.
But you're older than I am, RA. You might be like, meh. Like I like the era before that, so it's hard. It's kind of like comparing like who the GOAT is of certain sports where it's different eras, like the LeBron versus MJ shit.
Yeah, I grew up in the late 70s, 80s WWF era. I have some great pictures. Me and my brother used to go to the Garden all the time and get up close to these guys. We had a friend who worked there, so we can hang in the garage, get autographs after. But my top five, I would say 5 Ric Flair.
Oh,
4.
Fuck, was he a showman?
I would say 4 Kerry Von Erich.
Never heard of him.
Number 3, and again, this is my era. Number 3, Kerry Von Erich, Ric Flair. You know what? Put this. Number 1 is Andre the Giant. I'll go to Andre the Giant. Number 1. That's in my head. Number 2,
for the 6 people still listening, bear with us here.
Andre the Giant. 2, Hulk Hogan. Who would I put fucking 3?
Number 3 is fucking.
Do you want to come back to it?
I'll come back to it. I'll come back to it because
you.
I know.
Think about it and then bring it to us next podcast. Like it's like you didn't have time to think of a top 5 list since like the clip happened. That's crazy that you would put yourself on the spot like that.
Couldn't get number 3.
Holy shit!
I know. I have it in my head. I'll come to it in a second. But you know what?
Yeah,
boys,
I
bet. Hey, Biz, if you love watching live sports, but you're tired of the high prices, it's time to take control of your TV experience. It's time you got Sling. Watch exclusive new Barstool content and past episodes of Chiclets and the Yak. Also, Coach Prime with the legend Deion Sanders. He's back, and you can stream the live premiere of episode 1 tonight at 8 p.m. on Sling. Sling is the place where your favorite sports channels like ESPN, FS1, TNT, and more come together for less. And it's the cheapest way to watch college hoops, the NBA playoffs, the entire Formula One season, and more. Sling is easy to set up, easy to use, and there's no contracts. Sign up now and try it absolutely free. Whatever you're into, Sling is where you can find the live sports you love all in one place. Go to sling.com/Barstool to sign up now and try it free. And don't forget to watch Coach Prime. What I wanted to piggyback on the point you made a few minutes ago about all the black players coming from that particular area. It was the first this week, the first all-black TV broadcast in NHL history. Yep. Everett Fitzhugh and J.T. Brown for the Seattle Kraken made history. I mean, we talk about inclusion and diversity a lot in hockey lately, and it's great to see these guys have worked up. They paid their dues and they got a chance, and they made some significant history this week. So I want to acknowledge those guys and congratulate them as well for that accomplishment. And keep doing the great work, guys. We love listening to you.
Absolutely.
Great job, guys. Can I give a
I was going to talk wrestling quick. Do you like Rey Mysterio Jr.? Whit?
Don't know who it is.
The little guy. He'd be in probably my top 5. I'd have Shawn Michaels in my top 5. Stone Cold for sure. And probably the last one as far as full-on persona and was Mankind. And how he did the different guys. So he was McFoley, Mankind, and then
he was great. And he had the sock.
He had the sock. Yeah, he was like, as far as the craft of being on the mic and his matches would be so hardcore. So I think he had the respect from the prior generations of how gory he would make him. He was almost like a backyard type wrestler. So McFoley would be definitely on my top 5 list.
So I've had osteotomy, surgery on my ankles. I got the worst feet in the world. Walking barefoot is so painful. I can't even walk barefoot in my house. I have slippers. I would rather go to Disney tomorrow barefoot without the VIP tour pass than ever listen to you two try to list your top 5 wrestlers again in my life.
I had a brain fart.
Nightmare.
I had a brain fart. I know my number 3. I had said it in my head the other day, and I didn't know I was going to get asked, even though it was obvious.
I think I had a pretty good fucking list, man. What are you talking about?
4 though, and like you were hurting a little. RA still doesn't have 3. RA's number 3 wrestler is going to die before he picks who it is.
I went. Oh yeah, Ric Flair. I'll pick Ric Flair.
I try to make it like dramatic and start from the bottom, and that's what fucked me up because usually go front. So, dude, Andre again, number 1 all time.
Hey, I hope you fucking
doing
get
this again.
No, I got the guy. I just remembered you said.
I hope you lose your fucking fast pass and your shoes at the gate tomorrow, and you have to do what you just described, you fucking asshole. How about that, you fuck? Who's number 3, RA?
Give me number 3. Fuck.
Number 3, the biggest and best heel in wrestling history, Roddy Piper.
Oh, that's a good answer. Okay.
I knew. That's what I was waiting. I didn't want to disrespect someone.
We're back.
Someone else in. Roddy Piper, number 3. And again, Kerry Von Erich back in the World Class Championship.
Nobody knows who that is.
Oh, trust me, motherfucker, they do. You guys don't even know what fucking Animal House is.
We have 1 listener left. Tell the last listener, whoever's still left.
Hey, this is belly button soup.
I got a congratulations to give out. This is to Remy Lindholm. Remy Lindholm is from Finland, and he finished 28th place in this year's Olympic Winter Games in the 50 kilometers, I think, cross-country race. I'm congratulating him because in the race, his penis froze. This dude's cock froze. He said it was the most excruciating pain of his life. The article I'm reading is just on Twitter from Rolling Stone says he actually froze his 3rd pole.
So he's a dick freeze.
Wait, the craziest part, it's the 2nd time it's happened. He's frozen his dick twice, 2 times.
And there's 60 skiers. He finished in the top half with a frozen cock the whole time. I can't believe it.
I mean, usually
he must have a hammer on him.
It just shrinks and it goes inside when you're that cold.
You should do like when you meme it with like when you get the deep cold on your cock. But I mean, why wouldn't
listen to this paragraph. Sorry, bitch.
I broke my dick.
Immediately after the race, Lindholm sought relief in the form of a waiting heat pack. When the body parts started to warm up after the finish, the pain was unbearable, the skier added. Thankfully, Lindholm's injury did not prevent him from enjoying his nation's surprise gold medal in the men's hockey event, as well as the Sunday's closing ceremony. So when he warmed up is when it became horrific. That's because I guess it didn't warm up because it was still frozen like an old steak you put in the freezer. But that's wild. To get through a race with a frozen hammer is bet you he couldn't list his top 5 wrestlers.
Who's number 2, all right?
Hulk Hogan changed the game, man. He made wrestling on Sports Illustrated cover. It was never there before.
So he's the MJ of wrestling.
I would
he made it worldwide.
So
I have no problem saying that. Andre's just Andre. There was nobody like him, so he's automatically number 1. But
Brian Yandel and Motts, the rink shrinks, our buddies, they were down in Tampa. Brian's son Colin had a tournament. Brian coaches the team, and Motts came down because I think they did some sort of speaking engagement with like Chris Versteeg, a couple other people, and Trevor Daley was down there, and Hulk Hogan was at the restaurant they were at, and they sent us a bunch of pictures. And Ross Yandel, he confirmed the guy looks amazing. Hulk Hogan looks like he's 40 years old, dude. He doesn't have a wrinkle. He's still jacked. I couldn't believe how good he looked. He's glowing in this picture. So he's definitely the GOAT of wrestling.
Dude, like I said, I used to go to the Garden, and me and my brother, we would like when the security would walk the wrestlers out to the thing. There was like a 2-second window to sneak behind them, and we were in the hallway where the locker rooms were. And if people saw you there, they assumed you were supposed to be there. And I'll never forget, man, him and Paul Orndorff, Mr. Wonderful, they fought. You know, sometimes they fight out of the ring and they go back to the. Dude, I watched these guys from 2 feet away fling each other off cinder block walls. I'm like, oh my God, they have to hate each other. Like, it was insane. Like, people were standing in front of me, holding me back because, like, I was a little kid. And for years, I thought, wow, wrestling's real. When the Garden closed with, I took a tour of the Garden. It was the Celtics locker room because one went in one locker room door and one went in the other. And when I got the tour of the Celtics room, I realized it was all the same locker room. So I seen these guys kill each other, like legit throwing each other off the cinder blocks and then go in the same locker room. It's amazing. Like, you would think it was 100% real. And then that was the time I realized, okay, it's definitely fake, man. When those guys went in the same locker room, the Hulkster dude, like it was crazy, dude. They killed each other and then they go in the same room and like hug it out, man. I don't know. It was awesome, amazing theater. Those guys. That era was unreal. But
all right, when did you figure out that Santa Claus wasn't real?
No.
Well, I was also going to say he's watching this as a kid. Then he says he realized that when the Garden closed and he toured the Celtics. That was like, what, 20 years later?
It was about 10 years later. No, I know it was obviously rigged, but it was confirmation. Like, because if you saw it with, like, again, chucking a guy off a cinder block wall, going down the hallway, this wasn't like there was 10 people there. It wasn't like the whole place saw it. It was in the hallway. It was so vivid and real.
RA's the guy at the gymnasium when he's like,
oh, man, I remember he'd come out with
I know they say it's fake.
What we got to give props to the Terriers.
Beanpot champs. Beanpot champs. My wife went to Northeastern. She said Ryder had to get a Northeastern jersey if they beat them, and luckily we rolled. We got a late goal.
I think the Pee Wee tournament is bigger than the Beanpot.
Yeah, people dog the Beanpot, and I actually don't blame them because of how big of a deal people from Boston and New England make of it or because of it. But for me, it's just like grew up with all three. RA went to the games. Grinelli wished to play in them. I played in them. You know, we know what it's all about. And that's
Beanpot Chiclets Cup. Beanpot Chiclets Cup are like on par.
Okay, big deal. Fucking Chiclets Cup's worldwide soon enough.
No, I know. I'm just saying. I'm saying right now. We're on the rise.
Can we wrap up the show with talking about Phil Mickelson?
Sure.
Yeah, absolutely.
Do you have anything else?
Let me check my game notes here.
Let me just make sure there's nothing else.
All right, you got any other lists you want to try?
Top 5.
We're gonna save Tinder.
The Tinder swindler and the Kanye doc we'll get to later. We are at Disney. We're going to talk about Disney adults. I suppose we can save that for later. They're going to get their own compound.
We could talk about Matt Stafford.
Yeah,
that whole situation was a bit of a shit show.
So a woman photographer fell off the stage in front of Matt Stafford, and a horrible look for him. You know, he was definitely drinking all day, and you know, he doesn't have his wits about himself, but he sees this woman fall and just like immediately like turns around, kind of like, oh my God, what just happened? And then you see his wife basically run into the camera footage. Well, nobody knew when they saw the video. That the woman, I think she broke her neck or back,
spinal injury,
couple
broke
ribs.
Her back.
So just an awful situation where, no doubt, I think Matthew Stafford, if he could ever do it again, isn't making that look and turning his back to this person that obviously was in need of help. But when you're celebrating a title, it's like you have so many things going on. I'm not really making excuses, but I can see how it happened, if you know what I mean.
And he was pickled, and he's not pickled a lot of the time. And he just made a dumb move, and his worst moment got captured on video. And then the result that had no bearing in his doing was if she would have got up and walked away and nothing would have came of it, nobody probably would have said a word other than like a couple people. Bad semantics. Is that what you say? Semantics?
Optics.
What's semantics? Where'd that word come from?
Well,
we'll worry about it later.
Show, yeah.
Whit, proceed.
So you know, that was just kind of the story, and I felt so bad for the woman, and the Staffords came out, and I think they said they're going to help pay her medical bills, which is, you know, really nice of them. But he was catching so much heat where it was kind of like, oh, I don't know, this is a little different circumstance than it would be have you see someone next to you just like fall down and you could tell they're in pain. I don't know if he didn't understand how far she fell down, but the amount of people that kind of got on Twitter and were really attacking him, I was a little surprised at.
Well, I mean, the story didn't end there. I'm sure you heard what happened after, right?
Yeah, I don't think he knew where he was that day. But they said they're going to pay her bills. And then, of course, this is the internet and Twitter. So somebody did a Twitter search on this lady. I don't know. She looks like she might be in her mid to late 20s.
Whit has no clue.
And she had, 10, 12-year-old tweets that with offensive language and jokes. And I don't, everyone's like, oh, she's racist, homophobic, whatever. It's like,
oh, she got old tweeted.
Yeah. Oh, it's like, all right, this girl might have been a teenager when she said stupid shit on Twitter. They're just talking like,
Is it stupid shit or is it bad?
She was using.
It wasn't great.
She wasn't. She wasn't using the hard end bomb. She was saying the soft one, and I think in a social way that white people sometimes do, but not. They shouldn't do it on Twitter. I think it was that case. I'm not defending her. That was my take on it. She wasn't like calling people racist terms. She was talking to people that she knew and calling them that word, which
it just like it was just like insane that this whole situation ends up like getting this person canceled. It's just like it was just like an insane way for the Super Bowl to end.
She's sitting in the hospital with a catheter in her body, and all of a sudden she's got people just looking to bury her for tweet. Oh my God.
Now she needs a bodyguard like in Scarface. Or no, what was it?
The Staffords aren't paying her medical bills anymore.
That's the world we live in, though. But you know what? If you just do this, it all goes away. Because so much of this shit is just online bullshit. If you actually don't live in that world, you don't deal with it. But
let's talk about Mickelson. More crazy nutty shit.
Oh my God, guys. And for non-golf fans, I still think you know who Phil Mickelson is. Lefty. The man who's made a career as one of the greatest golfers of all time. 6 majors. 4 Masters championships. Or maybe 3. I think it's 3. Excuse me. Doesn't matter. He's got a PGA. He finally grabbed a British Open. And then he grabbed the PGA last year. He hasn't really done anything in a while. He's 50 years old. He can play Champions Tours events now. Well, Phil decided to go out and completely ruin his legacy. And for non-golf fans, I don't know if you've really heard the rumblings of Saudi Arabia's backing and behind a new golf league. I think they're calling it the Saudi Golf League or something like that, where it's 14 events. I think 10 of them are in the United States. They're offering huge paydays. And crazy enough, as we've been recording this Sunday, basically everything's fallen apart. But Phil Mickelson's been spearheading this. And my biggest grief, and we can talk about the money and where it comes from in terms of blood money. And I need to address a couple people who came at me on Twitter. We could talk about that. But my biggest beef the whole time is some of these guys have been speaking out. It's been Mickelson. Bryson said a couple of things. The guy, Charlie Hoffman, complained last week at the Waste Management Phoenix Open about a ruling that he had that he didn't agree with. And then in the post on Instagram said, this is why other guys want to play for another tour. Just like absolute bullshit. And my biggest thing is instead of attacking the tour and saying how horrible the PGA Tour is, mind you, the PGA Tour that Phil Mickelson's made $96 million on. $96 million. And he says it's a greedy, not corrupt, horrible tour and blah, blah, blah. None of these guys have just come out and said, I want the money. I want the money. That's what it is. They want the money. They're going to get big paydays. They've come out and they've tried to make it like, oh, I'm doing this because the tour's so unfair. And I'm doing this because the players, they deserve more. And mind you, I'll say there are beefs with the PGA Tour that are legit. First off, being their app. Their app's a fucking joke. But players on the tour and top-end players have the opinion where they don't necessarily get paid the amount of money they should. And what I mean by that is a guy like Rory McIlroy is one of the best players in the world, but when he goes to a tournament, he's not guaranteed $1. He's actually could lose money. If he misses the cut, he's paying for his travel and all that. So in a sense, so many people are going to watch the top players in the world that it's in some of their eyes, almost unfair that they don't have a couple guaranteed deals. Now they make so much money off the course, so obviously there's that goes along with it. But Phil Mickelson has decided to ruin his legacy and going all in on the tour and Saudi Arabia. And he had some recent tweets. So a guy, Alan Shipnuck, who is a golf writer, he is writing a biography, which is not a biography that Phil's given his okay to. I don't know if there's a different word for a biography.
Yeah, autobiography is usually when you do one on yourself.
No. It would be authorized.
Unauthorized, yes. Yeah.
So it is called Phil, the rip-roaring and unauthorized biography of golf's most colorful superstar. So in that, Phil was able to give him a sit-down about the Saudi League recently. And let me find the quotes here. Phil said that he called the Saudis authorities very scary. He called them scary motherfuckers, actually. He talked about that he knows and everyone knows that they killed Washington Post journalist Jamal, is it Khashoggi, R.A.?
I'm not sure it's Khashoggi.
Either way,
they killed him.
Yeah, they killed him. He said, we know they have a horrible record on human rights because Saudi Arabia kills people for being gay. They execute people over there for being gay. Knowing all this, why would I ever consider it? because this is a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity to reshape the PGA Tour. Like, are you fucking kidding me? $96 million this goon's made. And I actually have heard from reliable sources that play professional golf, Phil Mickelson is fucking despised. He's a phony. He's a fraud. He does the stupid thumbs up. He's a clown. And to ruin the legacy that he has over backing Saudi-based money and golf leagues and ripping on the tour, it's like, what are you doing? It seems like he's having a midlife crisis. I'm not even kidding. And while we're recording today, Bryson DeChambeau and Dustin Johnson were considered two of the guys that were really considering making the jump, and had some top players made the jump. Like, you were looking at something that could be like a different scenario.
They were offering like ridiculous amounts of money.
Rumors of $150 million for Bryson, guaranteed money, and they both came out today and released statements that they're not a part of it. And Rory McIlroy had some crazy quotes about Phil, just basically calling him selfish. Just the list goes on and on. You can look it up of the words he called Phil, and it's like, man, this guy who's been known to have gambling issues, maybe he's hurting on money, even having made that much money. I don't know. But in the end, you're looking at a guy who will really, I don't think, ever be looked at the same again. He's already said he's not playing on the PGA Tour anymore. And it's just, it's kind of a sad ending to somebody who should be for the next 20 years of his life hitting the ceremonial tee shot at the Masters. The Golf Club Seminole, a legendary, amazing club in Juno Beach or Jupiter, Florida. They've already said he's not welcome at this year's pro member. I mean, he burned bridges to the umpteenth degree, and that tour is going to be dead now. I don't even know what they do. If they got Ian Poulter and fucking Phil Mickelson leading the charge, it's like, you need some young guns to get something going. And it's a crazy thing to see him side with like Saudi and what's going on in that country. And I'm sorry I'm speaking for so long. Me addressing the people who have said, yeah, Whit, you played in Russia. You were willing to overlook Russia's horrible behaviors and acts of atrocities to make some money. I haven't even completely come out and said I would 100% blame guys who need the money. I'll say this about me going to Russia. It was like, I didn't really have any other options, right? Like, this wasn't me leaving the NHL while I'm still a big part of it to go to Russia.
Yeah. I'm like, you're saying like one dynamic of the argument is about like where the money's coming from. Like, that's not the whole scope of the argument. You're saying like, yeah, but like the team I was affiliated with, like, it's like you didn't know where the money was coming. Like, it's such a horrible example.
Well, it's like Biz, let me ask you, like,
it's a horrible example for them to throw in your face.
If you're Bryson DeChambeau, like, if you're offered $150 million, but it was Saudi blood money, like, that's why I'm not even gonna. I wouldn't really blame. Like, if you want to take the money, take it. Be honest about it, though.
Yeah. No, I would. I mean, Christ, dude, I wouldn't be the guy on Twitter shaming him or anything. No, I wouldn't. I also wouldn't be the guy to do it. Like, given with what would you say DeChambeau is making a year on the PGA with endorsements and everything? Like, let's just say
that's
30 million a year.
I bet you Bryson makes 15, 20 a year.
It's a morals versus money thing. I mean, like, how you would want to have anything to do with that regime, that the fucking dictators, like you just said, the women just started driving in that country, fucking 5 years ago? I mean, think about that. They just started letting women drive 5 fucking years ago, 10 years, whatever, the last 15 years even. It's illegal to be gay. And we haven't even gotten to the fucking burying the lead here. Like, this country had a lot, like 90% of the hijackers in 9/11 with Saudis. There's fucking evidence that government people gave money to these guys. It's like, of all the countries to fucking jump in bed with financially, why would you do that? If you do, then yeah, you are a sellout, I think.
Well, I mean, he pretty much admitted it too. He goes, they're bad motherfuckers. He said it in his interview, right?
Yeah, they murdered a journalist.
And one component too, with, like you said, 96 million on tour. Would you probably say that Mickelson's probably brought in 400 to 500 million in his life?
I think Phil Mickelson's made $300 million.
And then you talked about the gambling problem. You like to the extent of what? Like, what is he betting? $500,000, $1 million on a game?
It could be more. Totally. I mean, I think he's known as like a crazy gambler, and if you're betting high stakes, it's just as insane as it sounds. It doesn't really matter how much money you make. I mean, you can fucking lose it. Gambling is a risky business, dude. And when you're with somebody that has this much money and they're chucking money around, I mean, I don't know. This is all kind of like unsubstantiated reports that he has certain issues. It's just more about how he's completely ruined his legacy.
Yeah, you're saying that could be a component to him kind of going off the deep end about trying to secure this bag on the way out of a $400 million career.
Yep.
All right.
Yep.
No, that's fucking nuts.
So
well, thanks for breaking it down.
Yeah, I don't know if I did a great job, but I'm trying to kind of show that, you know, you could think the tour's unfair with some things they do, but it's a little different than just getting a lifetime ban by leaving and starting this new startup Saudi golf league. It's like, what the fuck are we talking about here?
Let's start our own. Dustin, we'll offer you some Peter Millar merch. We have some tailor-made balls. We'll get you. Tell them we'll get them the new carbon wood. I just got one sent here the other day, Whit. I haven't even opened it yet. Have you tried this thing?
I have not.
Okay.
I'm looking forward.
Well, we'll offer you one of those, and we got some. Can we throw in some Chiclets teas in there too? Maybe a couple ball markers.
Maybe some birdie juice. Can never go wrong with a little. Okay,
we'll get them a Pink Whitney package too. So Dustin, that's the offer on the table right now as we speak.
And we won't kill any people covering the event as well, like the Saudis do.
Oh my God. Okay.
Fucking call
that's
it
a great
out,
way
man.
to end the episode.
Yeah,
All right,
did what
boys.
they did. Call it out.
Hey, boys, I want to thank you for doing this on a Sunday to allow me to attend Disney tomorrow.
Anytime.
All listeners, we love you guys. Thank you so much. And we'll be chatting with you in a week. Peace.
Hey, go to the Super Soaker ride, Whit. It's the new attraction at Disney World.